Got a full house in here this morning.
Is that Raj I hear?
Got Raj. We got his other guy.
Say hi. Say hi.
Hey, David.
Morning, Raj. How the hell have you been? Sorry about Purdue.
Oof. Rough. Knew it would happen at some point.
Well, get them out of the way now.
Exactly.
So far, not very is 3 for 3.
Is that a purposeful red shirt on Valentine's Day?
Yeah, my wife said, why don't you wear red on Valentine's Day? I said, it's Tuesday. She just kind of scowled at me. So.
Well, I do believe Hams is written in red on my shirt, as far as I can go.
Mm-hmm.
We got a little bit over a minute. Also, I love the poll question.
Oh. I know, Arch. We have a poll question up. Good morning, John in Crockett, Texas.
10 seconds. Yeah, 10 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you, and happy Valentine's Day. You didn't forget, did you? How the heck back, are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. David Samson, Pat Kirwan, Tony Fiorentino on the show today. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How are you?
I'm great. You know me, David. Valentine's Day is my kind of day.
Come on now. I mean, you damn near have an account at the jewelry store only about 3 miles down the road from where you are right now. So come on now. Don't underplay how romantic you are.
Let's get some cards and flowers and spend a lot of money on crap that's going to die.
I will say, for those that will take us in on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel, I mean, I at least, I'm in my Valentine's Day red here.
And you look pretty this morning. Not even handsome. You leapt over handsome and went right to pretty with that red shirt.
Thank you very much. I got a good night's sleep and everything. I mean, today's a Tuesday, though. Tuesday. Do you know in 4 years, Valentine's Day will be on a Sunday? It'll be on Super Bowl Sunday. Valentine's Day on Super Bowl Sunday. 4 years from now. That could be awkward.
That could be really awkward. Means a lot of Saturdays going out. That you'll get through that. That just means Saturday's the date night and Sunday's football. That's all right.
Okay. All right. Just, depends on the relationship. I don't know. Just, there may be a person or two that says, well, what's more important to you? Me or the Super Bowl?
The Super Bowl. Really simple. You've lost that argument, honey. Try again.
Are you trying to say, listen, it's been here before you, okay? And the best you can do is be here every year going forward. But I know it's going to be here for me every year going forward. That's all. I was just looking up Super Bowl dates last night. I'm like, I'll be damned. It's on Valentine's Day in 4 years. So
That'll be awkward.
Listen, this is already a weird show for Miller and Moulton. We have a poll question up.
Poll question. We've got 47 people in the building right now.
What in the wide world of sports is going on?
Felipe's leaving town tomorrow.
Wait, is
For
he
3
allowed to
days.
do that?
I don't know, not really, but he's doing it anyhow. He takes
Okay.
more vacation than any member of this show, and it's not close.
Well, I will say it's a little bit of an unfair shot here because none of us are able to take a day. Okay, so I mean, Felipe claiming these 3 days might be the first time, and Felipe does have to come in on holidays and sit in that damn studio alone and make sure that our best of runs. Okay?
Well, and that once again, that doesn't have to happen. There are ways I've fixed that too, but
okay,
but neither here nor there. Felipe has 2 trainees in.
two.
Well, yeah, because one can't do all 3 days. One's doing a couple. One's doing another day. So everybody's in here training this morning. It's a packed house.
So in other words,
only in the studio.
So in other words, I mean, if you think he doesn't pay attention to the show normally, now today there's no chance.
No, he has to act like he does today. He's trying to act as if he's really. He brings his buddy in here and he tries to act as if he pays attention, and it's laughable.
Well, I've got my Valentine's Day red on. Good to see you've got your Hams t-shirt. Okay.
The only
Going
one
old
that matched
school.
the shorts that I grabbed this morning, David. That's really what it goes with. Dressing by spot flashlight on the phone in the morning at 5 a.m. while the wife's in bed. Like, let's see, these two look like they go together. Let's grab them.
Do you even wake them with a Valentine's Day kiss today? Or do you let them, does showing your love let them sleep in more? Because you could potentially wake them up with the kiss on the cheek. That's the first big decision of the day right there. If you're getting up first, to even kiss them on the cheek, okay, and say Happy Valentine's Day and run the risk of waking them up early. But I love our poll question, and I hope people take it in the grain of salt in which it was written out.
It's very simple. Happy Valentine's Day. How confident are you that there will be romance in your home tonight? Very confident? Not very confident? Does last Saturday count?
Romance. You can define that, multiple ways. Just romance. That's all. Mark did not type out canoodling. Okay, romance. I mean, that could be dinner in a movie, at home. That could qualify as romance. You know what the other 364 days are like. You know what the other 51 Saturdays are like.
I already know. I mean, with the daughter, there is very little chance. I've already chalked this up as a not very likely.
Okay. All right.
It is Tuesday.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. It's very difficult to work it into the schedule, okay, when it falls near the middle of a week.
I could be incredibly romantic. I could have flowers. I could have perfume. I could have rose petals on the floor. When my wife comes home, she's going to look at me and said, I'm tired. I want to go to bed.
Right.
There's
Okay.
not much I can say or
No.
do to
Nope.
change a full day of work from the wife.
Nope. Okay, honey. Just remember, I love you.
Whatever.
So my wife comes in this morning and, she was happy that I was wearing Valentine's Day red. Oh, okay. The morning's off to a good start. And she's got a mug, an I love you mug with some words on it. And I gave that mug to her, I think, our very first Valentine's Day. And she still has it. And
Wow.
that's nearly 30 years ago. And she said, do you remember when you gave me this? All right. And I was working here. All right. And you sent roses. All right. And then this and chocolates to my work. And I said, yeah. And now I'm not allowed to do any of that. She goes, no, it's a waste of money. Besides, you took me to John Mellencamp over the weekend. That was Valentine's Day. I said, that was? She goes, yeah. Oh, okay. Nothing like spending Valentine's Day with a 71-year-old guy at a distance. Okay. All right. So there you go. Apparently, I've already purchased Valentine's Day gifts.
And exceeded whatever it was, the bar that it was. And it sounds like you've won. You wore a red shirt. She has the mug that you bought her some 30 years ago when you took her to a concert over the weekend.
Right.
You've already won Valentine's Day, and it's barely started, David.
Apparently so. She looked right at me. She said, hey, all right, we went to a concert. You bought me dinner. And then, I kid you not, she said, and parking. And I said, well, if I paid for parking, I must be a hell of a guy.
Slider of coffee today. You're home free, David.
I tell you, fit in the Starbucks and ooh, baby. I mean, don't get me wrong. The answer's still not very to the poll question, but that's all right. It's okay. So, top of the morning to you. Happy Valentine's Day. Don't screw today up. When in doubt, go the extra mile. That's all we're saying. By the way, do we have any idea what young Felipe has in store for today? Because, we've only known him about a year and a half, but, he has a significant other.
My guess is if he's leaving town tomorrow, he's not even going to be with his significant other tonight. He's probably leaving back to go back to Miami to spend it with mom and dad. Am I right?
The parents are coming to town today. Her parents.
Wait a minute. So you're spending Valentine's Day with your girlfriend and her parents?
Well, I'm going to New York with my girlfriend and her parents.
Holy cow.
You heard that from Raj?
Well, yeah. I agree with Raj in the background. Oh, wow.
Her brothers live in New York. For Christmas,
Wow.
they bought their parents plane tickets to New York. So this is a family trip that I'm going on.
Felipe, I don't know how to tell you this. As somebody born and raised in the Northeast, can I tell you what is about to happen to you over the next handful of days?
I'm going to freeze my off.
No, Felipe, that'll be the best thing that happens to you over the next few days. Basically, they're going to decide whether or not you're a keeper or they're going to kill you and dispose of the body.
Right now, David has tried for a while on this show to implement a segment called Yes, No, or Maybe So. They're doing that with you over the course of the next day. Her family will be deciding, is Felipe yes, no, or maybe so. And this has nothing to do with your girlfriend. This has to do with the brother and the mother and the father.
Right.
You are on the auction block this
Yes.
weekend, and whether or not you are purchased or thrown into the
Yes.
East River is yet to be determined.
Felipe, she doesn't even get a vote this weekend. All right. She's already cast her vote. All right. She's a big yes. She is now bringing you up for auction. All right. And now the rest of the family will decide whether or not they're going to make a bid or whether or not they're going to dispose of the body.
I'm not nervous at all, actually. I'm very excited. I'm very confident that this week will go very well.
Don't get me wrong. Before they, get rid of you, you will eat well. You will eat very well.
That New York pizza, ooh.
A little
Those
more than that.
bagels.
A little more than that. No doubt, though. Take advantage of it.
Can't
You
wait.
know? So, can't wait. Yeah, I'll bet the brothers can't wait either. Yep. They have been talking for years as to what, you do remember what Charles Barkley said, okay, when he was asked about his daughter's dating. And he said, well, I'll kill the first one, and I figure the word will spread.
So, yeah, you're on the chopping block. Good luck.
Yep. Good luck, man.
Thanks, guys.
No problem.
Yep.
Make sure those two guys that you're training, make sure they know what they're doing. We may need them next week. That's all we're saying. That's all we're saying.
And her birthday's Friday.
Well, listen, you'll make it to Friday. Okay. They'll, they don't want to deny her a birthday gift. Saturdays make it happen night in more ways than one, Felipe. Okay. That's all we're saying.
We're just hoping you make it home alive. Miller and Moulton, David Samson, Pat Kirwan, Tony Fiorentino, all on the show today. The starting five, 25 minutes away right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
They love me.
Felipe already had a What's a John Mellencamp to.
There you go. Ask Raj.
He did. Raj, who's from Indiana, a little bothered by the whole thing.
You should have seen the face that Raj gave me. Oh my God.
Raj is like, I may kill you before the brothers do.
How many brothers? Two?
Two.
Oh.
Just enough to get the job done.
I'll be fine.
Sure you will.
They love me. I love Philly. They love me.
Oh, they do. The parents love me. I've met them like 5 times already.
They love me.
That's what they sell you.
Yep. That's how they act.
I will say the birthday stacking around Valentine's Day is also clutch with a K. A horse carriage ride in Central Park?
Yep.
No, I can use my feet. I'm good.
Way to be romantic.
Right.
Yeah.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Mhm.
I hope
Besides,
I
the
hope you
parents.
walk behind the horse.
Yeah. Besides, the parents love me.
The parents love me.
They love me.
I'm the best.
Mhm. Yep.
Nice Hams shirt, man.
Like Felipe knows what hams is.
No, I don't.
Were you aware of the news last night, or did you find out about it this morning?
No, I was aware last night.
When I went to bed, there was one dead, and it was still going on.
Got a lot of friends with kids there.
Had to be frightening.
Yeah. "43-year-old, no affiliation in the university."
Who was the person?
That's what I'm saying.
coming back.
43-year-old person.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Happy Valentine's Day." Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Mark, how many people do you think fit in Valentine's Day this past Saturday? I mean, that's a big weekend. Valentine's Day, then Super Bowl Sunday. Or how many people you think are kind of pushing it forward pretty far down the road to this Saturday? I mean, that's 4 days removed.
That was my wife's plan. We're pushing it to this Saturday.
Oh,
Got
okay.
babysitter and everything.
All right. Okay. So like you said, no reason for, the perfume or the cologne or flowers or anything, tonight. It's just a Tuesday.
I've already got the flowers. I'm going to make a nice dinner. But I mean, how much can you do? The daughter's there. My wife even said, "You inviting your mom over for dinner?" I'm like, "Happy Valentine's Day." I hadn't. I wasn't planning on it, but sure, honey, whatever you say.
Sure. Mom needs a Valentine's Day dinner. What do you say, honey? Fajitas? Sure. Okay. So just wondered. That's all. Apparently, Mark, I'm taken care of. Didn't even know it. I mean, hello. Saturday, I paid for parking. What a romantic guy I am. You know how I feel about paying for parking.
4 quarters and a meter work, or
right. I mean, damn. More romantic than I thought. So anyway, so the ratings came in late yesterday. Apparently, 87% of the TVs in Kansas City were on the Super Bowl. Don't you want to poll the 13%?
More than anything.
And 76, I believe it was, maybe 74, 76, basically 3 out of every 4 TVs in Philadelphia was on the Super Bowl, which of course makes you want to knock on the door and go, "What are you watching?" Okay. Animal Kingdom, can we talk? So especially like if you live in a complex or whatever, you could hear the Super Bowl all throughout the complex, and you're sitting there watching Showtime or whatever. So that always fascinates me. Although I will say, I don't know if my mom or Aunt Kathy watched the game back in Jersey.
My wife went to bed in the second half. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
But she didn't watch, but she wasn't watching something else. She wasn't watching a Blue Bloods rerun or something.
No. She was watching the game until she didn't watch the game anymore.
Yeah, but that's okay. She was watching the game. She went to sleep. The TV's not on anything else. Especially in the cities where the game is. I mean, that's the story I want to do. Those are the people. Feel free, text in 21,000. You didn't watch the Super Bowl, particularly if you're listening to Miller and Moulton. I mean, we disguise ourselves as a sports talk show. I mean, and you didn't watch the Super Bowl. Now, what I'm wondering is it too painful? Is there a sports fan out there that's like, I can't stand to watch the Eagles in the Super Bowl? I'm a Cowboys fan. Couldn't watch it. Or I'm a Bengals fan and it's, the defeat's too raw. I can't watch it. I don't know. I mean, I will say we know a couple Bills fans. One who we have had beers with multiple times. He basically, when they lost, I don't know if he watched another playoff game.
That's taking it a little hard.
Very hard. This was the year. They were winning the Super Bowl this year. They were certainly going to the Super Bowl. And so, no, he's now, and he's not even 40 yet, and he's now thinking it's never going to happen in his lifetime. That's how hard the outcome of this season is impacting him. And of course, after Sunday night, apparently there's going to be no other team representing the AFC for the next 10 years. I mean, that's what we heard.
To take a loss that early in the postseason and not watch the rest of the postseason, that is taking a loss hard.
Well,
we only get so many of these playoff games. We've talked about it.
I know that. Boy, but you think about it, though. If you lose in the divisional round I mean, in theory, and they lost on a Sunday afternoon. So there was like one game after him that day, and then you got the 2 championship games in the Super Bowl. I mean, so he turned the TV off on I don't know if he watched the Super Bowl. I know his wife, she's normal, rational. I think she wanted the game on. I don't know if he did it. He doesn't sound like it. Put it that way. Maybe he just sat in the corner of the living room with like shades on or something and just drank himself quietly to sleep.
That's taking it hard. I can't even imagine. And I don't have any ill will towards someone like that. I don't think envious is the right word, but I'm impressed with their level of angst.
Despondency.
Because I've never had a team that I rooted for that much that made me shut the television off for all the rest of the games.
Okay, I'll tell you what. You look across into the producer's office there. You look at Raj and you look at Felipe. Raj is a huge Purdue fan. If Purdue doesn't make it to the Final Four this year, how do you think he's going to be?
Despondent.
Yes.
Miserable.
I don't know if Raj will watch the Final Four if Purdue's not in it. And
it depends. Is there a Fish concert on a YouTube channel that he hadn't seen yet? I mean, you got to put this all in perspective.
Well, that's fine. Paint the picture. That's good. Also, young Felipe. See, something that he's never really had in his life. He's never had a Dolphins team with real potential. You wait. Let's just say the quarterback stays healthy next year. And all the hope that was surrounding this team when they were 8-3 carries into the playoffs next year. Do you know how useless he will be when they lose?
I got you, but I think of him as a sports fan as well, and I can't see the sports fan being overridden by the Miami fan.
Ooh, boy.
And if it is,
You're right. I am a sports fan. Look, I know I'm a delusional Miami fan at times, but I keep it real. When
Now,
we
I will
lose,
no, you don't.
yes, I do.
No, you don't.
Yes,
But
No,
there's no. The
You
Heat
don't.
lost Game 5 of the conference finals last year. You bailed on them. The series is still going on. You're not. You don't have it together yet. You're not where you thought you were. But I will say, in his defense, he did watch the NBA Finals. He
Right.
was not so despondent after the Heat lost the series in 7 that he didn't watch the finals. I mean, this is a guy who's excited for the Denver-Milwaukee final coming up this year. Remember, he's a quote, "I'm excited for it."
Miami was favored to lose Game 6, by the way. Jimmy Butler just turned into Michael Jordan, okay?
I thought you weren't going to watch and follow them anymore. Okay.
I never said that. I just said we're done. I just wrote us out. I just said our season's over.
I'm pretty sure we have the tape, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
You know what? We'll run back the tape.
Good. Good. We're going to have to call the brothers. Okay. He needs to be.
I'm on the brother's side. I
am.
I mean, I know you are.
I am. Okay. I don't know about, take you out, but at least rough you up a little bit. All right. Miller and Moulton. So I just found that interesting. So about 13% in Kansas City. So that's like 1 out of every 8 people, because that's 12.5%. So 1 out of every 8 people in 8 TVs in Kansas City were not on the Super Bowl. And 1 out of every 4 TVs in Philadelphia were not on the Super Bowl.
We just want to know what they were watching.
Totally. What is it that we missed?
And what is it that you've done that makes you not even part of your own city in times like that, when the city's all in and you're like, you know what? I'm not.
You know what? And I hate cheesesteaks too.
Miller and Moulton. Starting 5 coming up on the other side. David Samson still ahead in the 7 o'clock hour right here on Miller and Moulton.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Life is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Life is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Life Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlifetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yes, RCB, third highest rated Super Bowl of all time. Well, all right. Third most watched Super Bowl. You know, they got ratings, they got shares, and depending on TV households and what have you. So, you know, could actually have a game that has a higher rating and yet less people could watch because, you know, as time goes on, things change. But third most watched TV show of all time.
We got 1 minute.
DC, you don't think maybe Jim was saying that tongue in cheek, do you? Thank you, Benny. Hey, DC, there's a lot of teams. Remember, the Chiefs moved all the way up to 10.
Ten seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Happy Valentine's Day. I know it's awkward. Tuesday. What are you going to do? Did you celebrate it already, or was Super Bowl weekend too busy? You pushing it forward to this weekend? Going to try to have a little romance tonight? Speaking of it, you can define romance however you'd like. That's our poll question.
What a bunch of pathetic men we have listening to this show.
Come on now.
How confident are you that there will be romance in your home tonight? 80% of you said not very.
Come on now. We're part of that 80%.
Oh, no. We are completely part of it. I was not. We're pitiful. 13% of you are very confident that there will be romance in your home tonight.
Those are the people in Kansas City who didn't watch the Super Bowl.
13%.
And 7% claim that last Saturday counted, right?
Yes.
So those are the votes. Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter, floridasportsnetwork.com, and vote accordingly. It's our Valentine's Day poll question. I'm kind of proud of it, actually. I think, just the right amount of snark. Okay, I think it fully reflects Miller and Moulton right there.
Oh,
there was a program director interested in our show. They'd say, "What do you guys like?" Would say, "Well, just submit this poll question." Okay, this pretty much says all you need to know
about us and our audience.
David Samson coming up at the top of the hour. Pat Kirwan and Heat legend Tony Fiorentino to join us in the 8 o'clock hour. Right now, it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Super Bowl 57 was the third most watched television program of all time. The final number, it averaged out 113 million people were watching the Super Bowl on average every minute. For the record, Mark, Rihanna did 6 million more. Halftime did 119 million.
All right.
Now, obviously, the end of the game, there were more people watching, because it's an average. But so just so you know, 113 for the game, 119 for Rihanna. Derek Carr, he's not going to allow the Raiders to trade him. So,
No.
well, listen, we didn't understand what was going on last week. So here's what people think. The reason Carr was going to allow a trade was that no one out there was going to offer him a contract similar to the one that he currently has. Okay. Obviously, someone has said to him, wink, wink, nod, nod. Oh, no, don't worry. We'll take care of you. And he's like, well, in that case, you can't trade me. Release me. I'll be fine. So they think it could happen today. By the way, releasing someone on Valentine's Day, is that just, is that getting the last word if you're the Raiders there? No? I mean, they have no choice. The deadline's tomorrow.
Right. It's by necessity. It's not releasing your significant other on Valentine's Day.
Well, you could wait till tomorrow. I mean, how many people are going to go through the motions today on Valentine's Day and break up tomorrow or break up in just a few days?
Can you do that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can. That's horrible.
Yes.
Because you're looking for that one last canoodle and then you're dumping them. And that's just a low blow.
And they may be as well. Also, I mean, they may already be discussing their exit strategy with their closest friends. Well, you two going to break up? Well, I mean, Valentine's Day is Tuesday. And so maybe afterwards. Oh, okay. Conrad Dobler, remember him? You and I do. Featured on the cover of Sports Illustrated when that was a really big deal and labeled the NFL's dirtiest player. And he wore that label proudly. He was a 3-time Pro Bowler on the Cardiac Cardinals of the 70s under Don Coryell, who just got into the Hall of Fame. Conrad Dobler died yesterday at the age of 72. And listen, we don't want to say that some football players are tough or anything, but Lane Johnson, he'd been playing through that torn abductor. And I have to admit, I don't even know what it is, but it sounds painful. What's wrong with you? I've got a torn abductor. Oh, damn. Sit down. Lay down while you're at it. He's going to have surgery in a few days. They think he'll be ready for training camp. Mark, Lane Johnson has not given up a sack since week 11 of 2020. He's a right tackle. He's facing pass rushing edges basically for 2.5 years, and he hasn't missed many games either. He hasn't given up a sack. 2.5 years. I don't know how you grade out, but I would guess it's well.
You'd start there. That's how you do, that whole, this is on one end of the curve, and you can put whatever you want on the other end of the curve and work the rest in the middle.
He was first team All-Pro. NBA, no Tyler Hero. Heat struggled to score with Tyler Hero. Sure enough, they didn't have enough scoring last night. Jokic, 27 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists. Nuggets shot 58% against Miami's D. That's impressive. Denver held off the Heat 112-108.
Really hard to stop Jokic. He only missed 2 shots last night.
Yeah, well, Denver didn't miss many more than that, let me tell you. We said yesterday, and we know there are 4 of you that are paying attention to this sort of thing, but, we are the Florida Sports Network after all, that if the Orlando Magic are actually going to play meaningful games down the stretch to get in the play-in, they have to beat the teams that are above them in the play-in. Well, they beat one of those teams last night. They went to Chicago, beat the Bulls, 191. Markelle Fultz, 18 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists, 1 helper away from a triple-double. And the Knicks had lost 9 straight to the Nets. So, thankfully, the Nets got rid of Kyrie and KD. And so now New York can go back to beating Brooklyn. 124-106, Jalen Brunson with 40. Home debut for Kyrie in Dallas against the Timberwolves. And let me tell you, that Kyrie Luka magic was on full display last night, Mark. Mavs trailed by 26 in the fourth. Came all the way back. Kyrie personally scored 26 points in the fourth quarter. But they didn't get off a final shot down 3. Minnesota beat them 124-121. Portland, Damian Lillard with 40. No LeBron for the Lakers. Is it a bad look that you go to the Super Bowl but you don't play the next night in Portland? Or can the two be unrelated? He's got an ankle injury.
He didn't play the one before that either.
2 before it. He has not played since he passed
Correct.
Green. He didn't play Thursday, didn't play Saturday, and didn't play last night. Is that a bad look or no?
Yes,
Okay.
especially when you're trying to fight for a play-in spot.
Justin Holiday, by the way, bought out from Houston. He's going to sign with the Mavs. College hoops. We called it. We said, listen, when Miami's good, Larinaga goes into Duke and North Carolina and beats the Blue Devils and Tar Heels. When they're good. Okay, when they're not, they get whacked. But when they're good, they travel well. Canes held the Tar Heels to 5 of 31 from 3. That's 16%. Good thing, too, because the Tar Heels shot nearly 70% from inside the arc. Anyway, 15th ranked Miami. They may win the ACC regular season at this rate. 80-72 over the Tar Heels. And right now, if they sat down and filled out the field of 68, Kentucky and Carolina would not be in it. North Carolina does not have a quadrant 1 win. Bethune and FAMU both lost in both men's and women's basketball yesterday. Mark, Alabama is the new number 1 team in the country, with Purdue getting upset by Northwestern on Sunday. Alabama, for the first time in 20 years, their men's basketball program is number 1 in the country. Miami, as we said, 15th. Women's action, Florida State remains ranked at 24th. South Florida, who lost at home to Houston over the weekend, falls out of the top 25. The coaches poll comes out today, and don't be surprised if FGCU moves into the top 25 in the coaches poll. Hockey, hey, we called it. Coming out of the All-Star break, Panthers had to get it on. And you know what, Mark? Every night is Valentine's Day for the Florida Panthers right now. They go into Minnesota, 2-1 shootout win, bark off the game winner in the shootout. And the Panthers, a point back of the Penguins. Of course, Pittsburgh's got 4 games in hand. But, hey, we'll accentuate the positive, okay? They're a point out of the playoffs. They're at least relevant. 8 days ago, they were the biggest disappointment in the league. Now, not so much. Ottawa in overtime, Arizona, Detroit, and the LA Kings also winners. And one other thing, and I hate this, and I mean with a capital hate. Major League Baseball saying that the whole extra runner, when we go to extra innings, putting them on second with nobody out, that's here to stay. Remember,
Their version of the shootout, David.
It sure is, and it sucks. But they don't want games to last much longer than 9 innings.
And they won't do what we want, which is ties.
Yeah, 11 innings is what we said. Play 11 innings, and if there's no winner, there's no winner. At the end of the season, winning percentage determines who makes the playoffs. So if by chance you end up with 4 games that are tied, really? Like the world will stop rotating on its axis if all of a sudden we had ties? I just think the games should be played out legitimately, not this fake runner on second crap. Think about it. You, Mark, have a better closer than me. And so we're tied. We go to the 10th. Well, I can score a run without getting a hit. It negates the fact that you have a better closer. Seriously, it's ridiculous. It's like 3-on-3 in hockey. It's no longer hockey. Here's the other thing that Major League Baseball said yesterday. rules in place as to when you can put a non-pitcher on the mound. Apparently, Mark, if you're winning, you have to be up by 10 or more runs, and you can only put the non-pitcher into pitch in the 9th inning. That's if you're winning.
Okay. What about if you're losing?
If you're losing, if you're trailing by 8 or more runs, you can put a non-pitcher in at any point of the game. You're down 8-0 in the 4th. You want to put a middle infielder on the mound, you can do it. So they have rules in place as to when you can, to show you how much of a thing this now is. 5 years ago, there were 32 non-pitchers who pitched throughout the season. 32. Last year, 132.
Wow.
So it's a thing. And that's why Major League Baseball put some rules into effect. And at 8 minutes before the hour, that gentleman was...
That was the starting five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
You know, you always hear those things. How many people does it take to do this? And the jokes along the line.
Right?
I'm witnessing that firsthand. How many board ops does it take to hit the end of the starting five? And the answer right now is 3.
It's training wheels.
I can't believe Raj is still there. I got to be honest. I can't believe he didn't declare seniority. He was there for apparently the big period is the 30 minutes before the show actually starts. Once the show started, I thought Raj was going home.
I'm figuring out which one I'm sending for breakfast pretty soon at this rate.
I'd send Felipe. David Samson to join us coming up at the top of the hour. Pat Kirwan to join us in the 8 o'clock hour, along with Tony Fiorentino to talk a little Heat. The Valentine's Day edition of Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Paul, what were you talking about? Former FGC player hired as coach.
Brett Comer, assistant coach at Stetson.
Stetson, got it.
Would be my guess.
I thought he meant head coach. I'm like, where?
For the record, no retweet from Samson this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm all right. You guys doing okay?
Yeah.
I'm fucking pissed that the start of spring training has to get ruined by more mass shootings.
Trust me, I went to school there.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I've got friends who've got kids there. Is
it a dorm?
No, it was a
Berkeley Hall?
No, it was an academic hall, and then he went into the union. It was a non-student. It was a 43-year-old had no affiliation with the university at all.
Was it an assault weapon?
Don't know the answer to that.
Fucking had it.
Yeah, you and me. And then my high school had a fake hoax shooting last week. I'm like, I don't need this.
Nah, I think we should spend time worrying about Chinese balloons. That's our biggest issue. They're spying on us having sex in our living rooms.
People are having sex in their living rooms?
I know, it sounds crazy. It's young people. It ruins my fun. Like, I'm selfish, right? It pisses me off so badly that it ruins. Fuck. Sorry.
No. Hey, glad we could be here for you. We will try to add 12 minutes of fun into your life. We'll start with the poll question. We think you'll enjoy it.
All right, I'm ready. Is he really 5'5"?
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Top of the 7 o'clock hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kirwan to join us 1 hour from now. We'll talk plenty of heat with Tony Fiorentino in about 90 minutes' time. It is the day and time for David Samson, however. He of the Nothing Personal with David Samson podcast. That's a Monday through Friday thing. Live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. Taped is live on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Follow him, CBS Sports HQ, CBSSports.com, and on Twitter at David, the letter P. Samson, David P. Samson. Top of the morning to you. Happy Valentine's Day. How are you?
Oh, man, I got to get a card. God dang it. I forgot today was the 14th. You know, I'm having a problem. I don't know if it's age. I thought we were weeks away from Valentine's Day.
Weeks?
All right, I got to go. No, I'm just kidding. Another Hallmark holiday. I have a segment on Nothing Personal today about Valentine's Day and the anxiety in grade school and middle school of wondering whether or not you're going to get one of those paper Valentine's Day cards. And people would walk into your room and during the course of the day, and they would hand out all the Valentine's Day that people would be giving.
Right.
And you'd be sitting there, is anyone going to give me a card? Is anyone going to give me a card? I mean, these are top flight problems. But that said, they felt serious at the time.
Well, Mark, lay the question on him.
All right. Well, I kind of already know the answer to this one based on your excitement for the day, but how confident are you that there will be romance in your home tonight? The choices are very, not very, and does last Saturday count?
I am 100% sure.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go. All right.
Answer.
That's the perfect
It's a
answer.
slam dunk because that poll question is faulty. And if you were doing like a White House poll, you'd fail. And here's why. You didn't give the definition of what romance in my house is.
It's self-defined. No. Whatever, quote-unquote, romance. Like we specifically, intentionally did not say canoodling.
Then how could everyone not say 100%?
Are you serious?
Well, you can make your own fun, can't you? And I'm not necessarily doing double entendres here. Like, what if it's just watching a Netflix show? Like something that makes you happy. I think
is that necessarily romance? Is that romance or is that happy? There's a huge canyon between those two.
I'm going to say that we're parsing words right now because for me, romance is happiness. Because when you're fighting with your significant other, you're upset or you don't have a significant other, you could argue that you have no romance. But on the other hand, if you use that as your threshold, then you're living a life of at least 62% misery. So I redefined romance.
Well, but it's true. Like you can have a nice dinner tonight. You could, you could maybe have candles lit in the house. You can have an ambiance. You can have an attitude. And then one could look at the other and go, but it's a Tuesday. Okay, I'm going to bed. I mean, and that could still qualify.
Yes, it can. So there will not be candles. That's one thing that's for sure. My sort of OCD, and I'm not making fun of the concept because it is a serious one. I don't like candles. I don't even like lighting Shabbat candles on Friday nights because it's just another thing for me to worry about before I go to bed and check to make sure the candles are out. So I've eliminated that as part of my life. I do not like candles in my house. Little known factor. I've never said that publicly, but it's true.
I was going to say, how can you worry about, you don't sleep. How do you worry about anything before you go to bed? I mean, those 2 hours that you spend every night resting, how can you?
I love that. I'm talking about retiring to my room with the door closed. I don't want to have to leave my room once I'm in with the door closed, regardless of how many sheep I'm counting or book I'm reading or movies I'm watching. I don't want to have to do it. And if you knew, do you ever think about whether or not there's a camera? Like I used to think about my grandfather, rest in peace, him looking down at everything I'm doing during the course of the day and just being proud. Look, that's my grandson. And other times saying, I have no idea who that guy is.
Well, I have to admit, there are times in which I think, so are they paying attention to us in heaven the whole time? Okay. Or do they give us some privacy? Okay. I mean, just one of those unending questions that I want answered.
Empty heaven would be if they're looking all the time.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean,
Exactly.
as George Carlin, there are things I want answered when I get to heaven. George Carlin says, when we get to the pearly gates, we're going to get a box with all our socks and pens that we lost, and then I want to ask the question: have you guys been spying on me the whole time?
It has to be no. Have you guys watched the movie called with Meryl Streep and Albert Brooks. It's and Rip Torn. They're arguing their case to go to heaven. Oh my heaven! What is the name? This can't be happening to me on a Tuesday morning.
Look
It's
at this.
such
He's
a
pulling a
famous
Moulton.
movie. Do you know what I'm talking
Pulling a
about?
Moulton.
I don't know of the movie that you speak, so I know I
Yes,
haven't
you do.
seen it.
Meryl Streep and Albert Brooks, and they actually have to argue in order to get to heaven. They're in purgatory, and then in heaven they have to argue their case. And they're arguing, and they go through different parts of their life where they did something not heaven-worthy, and they have to explain it.
Defending my life?
Defending your life. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well,
we digress. Spring training, baby.
Our Twitch chat room, by the way, came through with that one. Hey, final thoughts on the Super Bowl. Go.
It was holding. They hadn't called it all game because, like in the NBA, you can call a foul on every play. You can call a holding on every play. By the letter of the law, it's holding. But having some sense of time and place is critical for referees, and they'll tell you otherwise. They'll tell you they're taught that you make calls in the last minute the way you make calls in the first minute, but that's not actually true. And in a game like that, I would have preferred to see a field goal kicked and give Hurts the last chance. I think that's better for the game, and I think it's probably the right call, even though an uncatchable ball is not the penalty, right? It doesn't have to be catchable for defensive holding. That said, he did impede his progress, but what Bradbury did, I loved. So don't talk about it. That was holding. Let's talk about the other times that we didn't score, the other times that we let the Chiefs score. I think that that's a better way to go about this.
Now, you flip immediately to spring training. The sports world hasn't flipped the way it used to. Does that bother you that all the momentum right now should be towards baseball? But, you know, the NBA had a terrific Super Bowl week, an amazing Super Bowl week with the trade deadline and LeBron setting the record. And the NBA took Christmas back from maybe the NFL after stealing it from them. But this is supposed to be the time where baseball people get all excited, and I don't sense the momentum.
God, I love that you're asking this. The answer is yes. Monday used to be a holiday within Major League Baseball. The Monday after the Super Bowl is always the best day of the year. Better than spring training reporting dates, better than the first workout, better than your opening day, better than any day, because that's when baseball is supposed to be ours. And we have this window where we're supposed to take advantage of it, and especially during World Baseball Classic years where pitchers and catchers are already on site because we've got the World Baseball Classic coming up in just a month, and the first spring training game is in like a week. But what we're finding now is the NFL, the way it's now on different nights of the week, and now they have Thursday night, and then they're going to have Black Friday, and basically the whole week is an NFL game. They have extended their season a little bit past Super Bowl, and I'm noticing the halo is having a bigger trail these days, and that's certainly a concern because if this halo goes right up until their draft, let's say, then all of a sudden they own the calendar, and make no mistake, that is their intention.
No doubt about it. And to many a sports fan, the NFL's number one through the draft, and that's late April. And then May through August is when other sports can grab their attention. It's our weekly chat with David Samson, he of the daily Nothing Personal with David Samson podcast, CBS Sports HQ, CBSSports.com. Follow him on Twitter, David, the letter P, Samson, David P. Samson. All right, Major League Baseball made it official, what they've been doing for the last 3 years. I hate it. Miller and Moulton, by the way, advocate for 11-inning games, and if it ends in a tie, it ends in a tie. That's our answer to it. We don't like to gimmick up the game. Where are you with the runner on second, beginning in the 10th inning in the regular season only?
I can't get one vote in the ownership room, not even one vote, to ever end a game in a tie. So just take that out of your head. That's never going to happen. There is zero momentum for it. And I just draw your attention to the Bud Selig shrug at the 2013 World Series All-Star, 2013 All-Star game, where it ended in a tie. I may have the year wrong. And he shrugged, and that was the end of that. No ties. The other thing we hate when you're running a team is extra inning games. I have spent so many hours on the phone during extra inning games. You're on the phone with your traveling secretary, trying to figure out flights, figuring out where your AAA affiliate is because you've got to get players to the next game because you're blowing through your bullpen. Then we've got to get another starter ready for the next game because we're warming up tomorrow's starter because we may need length in the 16th through 18th inning. Then after the game, we're making player moves. The union is in favor of the ghost runner. Why? Because more players lose service time because of extra inning games than lack of performance. Because you've got to get arms out and get new arms in. It's called the train between AAA and Major League Baseball. So this rule eliminates long games. And guess what? Broadcasters don't like it. Owners don't like it. Executives, players, no one likes it. How do you get rid of it? Put a guy in second base. The biggest argument they had, by the way, was how to make it so that the offensive players get credit for the stat of driving in the runner, but the pitcher does not get an earned run against him when that runner gets driven in. And that is a net positive to the union. Think about it. Every run, you take money away from a pitcher and give it to a hitter. In this case, you're giving money to hitters and not taking away money from pitchers. That's how much owners don't like long games.
Well, and David, I would argue fans don't like it. Not argue. I would add fans don't like it because when do they leave? You know, they're not leaving in the third inning. They're all of a sudden the game goes on. You grab your kids. It's a weekday game. You know, we've hit the magical hour of 10 o'clock. I've got to get you home because fans leave when these games. No one stays till the 18th inning.
We are not cricket. That's the bottom
That's
line.
That's a hell of a marketing slogan, by the way. Major League Baseball, we are not cricket. No?
I'm in. I thought we were out of time. I thought you were doing a hard out right there.
No.
That was a great way to end.
Oh,
that's the 2 minute signal?
2 minutes.
I
Yeah.
thought that you were just like doing something with your fingers. Now I'm going to know that that's 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
He was running to run a really quick play because he thought the ball may have touched the ground on that one, David.
Yeah,
that rule makes me crazy. You cannot do that. And we've seen Philadelphia be the beneficiary of that twice, where there's a call that should have been reversed and they try to run a quick play. I get the concept, but I think the NFL is going to change the rule on that and make sure. Did you see what the referees did? They said there's substitution problem. We've got to give the defense time to substitute, which gave them time then to challenge, which ended up being the correct challenge that Andy Reid did. I think the rules committee in the NFL is going to work on that.
And we agree with you, and we think that they should. David Samson joining us every Tuesday at this time. Happy Valentine's Day, you romantic you.
I love your red shirt, man. Way to go, David. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you. By the way, the answer on this show, David, was no way from both of us. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. The Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You know what's getting a lot of discussion?
What's
What?
that?
Is at least that I'm seeing on social media and what have you, is the SEC trying to figure out who everybody's designated 3 opponents is going to be every year. And trying to get it so that it's balanced and, you know, one team doesn't have it overly difficult and one team doesn't have it overly easy. And what are you going to do? I mean, you know, it looks as if for Tennessee that the SEC is going to have to choose, is it Georgia or Florida that they're no longer not playing every year?
So they're getting Vandy, Alabama.
And then, you know, like Kentucky's a border game. Georgia's a border game. The Florida game's been intense, you know, for a long time. I mean, you know, what?
And Florida's obviously going to get Georgia. Are they going to keep LSU?
Well, right. Are they going to keep LSU for the longest time? Remember, Florida Auburn had a thing for a long time. They don't have that thing anymore. Do they go back to giving them that thing?
I never remember that being a thing, but that's just me.
You know, what do you do with Alabama? Got to give them Auburn. Got to give them Tennessee. Right? So then what's the third game? You know, remember, the LSU rivalry is really since Saban. That rivalry is at the level that it's at. You know, so what are you going to do there? How do you work Oklahoma and Texas in?
Well, Texas is easy. Oklahoma, A&M, and figure out who the third one is.
And a lot of people think it'd be Arkansas. But, like, I'm looking at one right now for Oklahoma in which it's...
Save that for the bottom of the hour. We got a little more time. Let's see if we can get through this segment before that.
Oh,
Just,
yeah.
I just... You know, I printed out this list John sent to us with the unrestricted free agents.
That was quite a list.
I know, but it's just not a bad little thing to have.
No, no doubt.
But the quarterback, I mean, it is fascinating when you look at the quarterback list.
You going to do that here?
I didn't know. I mean, you got Lamar and Daniel Jones and Geno Smith. They're all planning on going back to their teams.
Probably. Their teams will tag them or whatever. Giants do not want to tag Jones because they may end up having to tag Barkley and save a lot of money if they tagged him. I don't think he'd like it, but look at Adam trying to hype the XFL. The Orlando Guardians looking like a good team. The Guardians? They use the Guardians?
What league are they in?
Yeah.
Is that the XFL team?
Yeah, because they're playing this weekend. The XFL is starting right up. USFL is waiting 2 months. Yeah, but Johnny, if you tag him, you only have to pay him 10. He's already turned down 12. So if you're the Giants, you play, you know, it's business.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Happy Valentine's Day. We know it's a little awkward. It's a Tuesday, and that's why we have the poll question that we have. In honor of Valentine's Day, albeit on a Tuesday, will there be, and we chose this word purposely, romance in your life tonight? Okay. Baby, basically, yes, no, maybe so, but the answers are a little different than that. Yes, no, or does last Saturday count?
That's my only chance.
So, Miller and Moulton are no way, man. It's Tuesday. No chance.
I mean, I've got flowers. I got a card. I'm going to make a nice dinner.
Right. No chance.
And none.
None. Zero. Zilch. Nada. But, Mark's just, me, I'm not even doing any of that. In fact, by now, if you've listened for any length of time, I get chastised. What'd you spend the money for?
Yeah, you should get one of those like dried flowers you could pull out once a year and go, here you go. And she'd be so happy with it.
Exactly. And then the next day I got to take it back. No, honey, I need that for next year. Give me that back. Right.
Yeah, the romantic life I have, my wife asked me this morning if I was going to invite my mother over for dinner tonight.
Nothing says romance.
Why don't you invite mom over? That's great. We'll have the daughter, the mother, and the wife. Oh, this will be just lovely.
Might as well put on the really good cologne tonight. Yep. So that's our poll question. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter, FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Vote accordingly.
So we got sent a list the other day, David, of all of the NFL unrestricted free agents.
Think about how big of a goober you have to be that a friend in your life says, do you know what Miller and Moulton would really appreciate? How about if I send them a list of all the unrestricted football free agents? I mean, honestly, on the loser scale of 1 to 10, where does that rank? We're like a 23, I think.
What's worse is I printed it out. And to see the quarterback list in print is a scary proposition for those teams that need quarterbacks.
Lay it on me, baby.
Because it starts with Lamar Jackson, Daniel Jones, and Geno Smith. But we all expect that those three guys are going to be with their current teams, one way, shape, or another.
Correct. Either a contract extension or they get tagged.
I'll start reading the names off, and you can stop me when you want one of them. Jacoby Brissett, Jimmy Garoppolo. I think people will be after him. Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Mike White, Teddy Bridgewater, Andy Dalton, Gardner Minshew, Taylor Heineke, Joe Flacco, Nathan Peterman, Blaine Gabbert. Yeah.
So Jameis isn't on that list? That's interesting.
Jameis is not on the list.
Interesting. I mean, he'll definitely ask for his release from New Orleans. I mean, and they may be more than willing to give it to him since they don't want to play him. And obviously Derek Carr is not on the list because he's not an unrestricted free agent. He's under contract for at least another 23 minutes. So he'll join that list. So basically, you're looking at Carr and Garoppolo.
Yes.
Or trading for somebody else's quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. By the way, he's about to enter the darkness, isn't he? Remember, he said he was going to wait until after the Super Bowl. I mean, that's got to be starting right about now. I mean, do you think he wait? Well, come on. Don't you have to wait till after Valentine's Day?
Who's he got to wait for?
The daughter of the owner of the Milwaukee Bucks.
Oh, that's right.
They're kind of sort of dating. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And not only that, she's in her mid-20s. I mean, come on. She's like 26 or something like that. I mean, you got to. I mean, I know you're Aaron Rodgers and all, but you got to deliver. I mean, you have game, but you only have so much game. You're near the end of the road, and she's the daughter of a billionaire. I mean, come on now. I mean, you can't go into the darkness for 4 days just yet. You got to.
Card, flowers, chocolate, then darkness is what you're telling me?
Well, at the very least. At the very least, yes. And I wouldn't take her to a Milwaukee Bucks game either. Okay. I mean, I'm just saying. And they're home tonight for the Celtics. I mean, that's an Eastern Conference Finals preview. I mean, that may sound good on paper, but I would avoid going there, Aaron. That's just me. So, I mean, if you see him sitting courtside, I don't think that's a good sign personally, but, what do I know? Although I know more than him. I've been married 26 years.
I will say this is a tough night, too, for, just Valentine's. This is the tough night for servers. I feel badly for all the servers tonight.
Yeah.
This is amateur night. This is another amateur night. We're going out to Valentine's Day. I'm going to spend more than I normally spend in a restaurant. I don't know how to tip. I don't know how to act.
But it's not a Friday, Saturday Valentine's Day where, you're really in the mood and what have you. It's a Tuesday. I mean, you're going to get a lot of 18 to 22% tonight.
And they hog the table for a long time because they're being romantic.
Right. I didn't think about that. You always have the servers in mind. I've always respected that about you.
Valentine's Day sucks as a server.
So
you don't get the big drinkers. You don't really ever get the big tippers. One would think, oh, everybody goes out to dinner. And no, just a bunch of deuces that are sitting there too long and not tipping enough. So for those of you going out tonight, extra $5. That's all. Make your server feel as special as you're trying to make the lady in your life feel.
Right. Because there will be no canoodling tonight. It's a Tuesday. Okay. So, throw the extra, 10, 20 down on the table. Absolutely. And don't take the billionaire's daughter to an NBA game tonight. Those are our 2 tips tonight.
Tough night to host games.
Although I don't know, in Milwaukee, maybe going to a Bucks game is romantic. I don't know.
You know what? Upon further review, you have a good point.
Time now for the Clutch Vodka play of the day. Felipe, what do we have?
I don't think it's that ridiculous to say that Damian Lillard is one of the best three-point shooters of all time, and he proved that again last night. He had a 40 bomb, and he had this deep three to end the quarter at the buzzer.
0.6. A Blazer can catch, dribble, and then get it off if he needs to. No dribble.
Dame from deep. Yes, sir. Dame from way downtown. Dame distance, and he finishes the quarter with the 10th three-pointer for the Blazers in the period.
They hit like 23 of them or something ridiculous last night.
Right. 22 in the first 3 quarters, 1 in the fourth. And that's your Clutch Vodka play of the day. That's Clutch with a K. Check them out at clutchspirits.com and go look for Clutch Vodka anywhere that you are buying your spirits.
Lillard with 40 last night.
30 in the first half.
Still has not asked to be traded from Portland. You got to figure it's this offseason or he's a lifer.
I think he's a lifer.
He really does look and sound like a lifer.
Yeah. Not many of those anymore.
Oh, my goodness. You damn near count them on one hand. They're already talking about Luka leaving Dallas. Seriously. I mean, it's remarkable what's going on in that league right now. And not all of it in a good way either.
Miller and Moulton. Pat Kirwan coming up, top of the 8 o'clock hour. Text lines are open at 21,000. Your take on Valentine's Day on the other side, Miller and Moulton.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
You had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Life Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlifetransportation.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hampshire really brings back like tough pledge memories from college. One of the worst things we had to do, we had to meet up at the house like before the morning classes cleaned the house while killing like 3 cases of hams that had been sitting on a heater. Like hot hams. There's just foam thrown up everywhere. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
One of the worst like hazing things.
You guys haven't talked Super Bowl ratings yet, have you? You guys did talk Super Bowl ratings. Yeah, oh, that's right, because you guys mentioned Rihanna. Now she did better than the show and then the Super Bowl. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We've done 5 segments.
Correct.
5.
Yep. We are 2 segments removed from when we discussed the ratings. Mm-hmm.
I had a feeling that you did. I was just asking.
No, you didn't.
No, I did, because I remember
Then
hearing.
why the hell did you? Do you need a stream of running consciousness?
I do. I think out loud. That's my problem.
Just but remember, the parents love them.
Right.
Love them.
Hey, we're coming back.
And the brothers will too.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. A terrific 8 o'clock hour in store. Pat Kirwan at the top of the hour. Tony Fiorentino, Heat legend, at the bottom of the hour. It's Valentine's Day. I'm wearing red. Come on, wear some bright colors today. Don't be afraid to go pink if you have to. Be bold. I mean, come on, it's a Tuesday. I mean, it's not like it's going to be a normal Valentine's Day. And that's implied in our poll question. Yes, that's right. We have a poll question. Apparently, Mark's determined that we're going to have 5 of them this week, which I don't think we've done since, the, Bush 43 presidency, but okay. All right. 2 for 2. What's our question again? How's it worded?
Happy Valentine's Day. How confident are you that there will be romance in your home tonight? Less than 15% of you say they are very confident that there will be romance in their home tonight.
And that's just romance. I mean, remember, dinner, candles, bottle of wine, that qualifies. Unless you normally do that on a Tuesday.
Not very, coming in at 67%, and does last Saturday count, getting 18.5% of the vote.
There we go. Make it happen night, making a stand. That's our poll question. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter, floridasportsnetwork.com. Vote accordingly. Remember, don't be shy. The results are anonymous.
David very much in the Valentine's Day spirit with his bright red shirt on.
Yeah.
Me, on the other hand, I'm wearing a beer t-shirt.
And yet one of us is cooking dinner, going to have flowers, candles. And that's the guy with the hams t-shirt. Not me. I got nothing going on tonight. Zip zilch nada. Tuesday night? What is FBI on? CBS? That's very exciting.
If you were in the Northeast where they have the White Castles you could make a reservation at, would you take your wife to the White Castle?
My mother and one of her good friends have a 5 o'clock reservation at White Castle tonight. Yep. My mother and a teacher friend that she's known for 40 plus years. Yep. Both single, 5 o'clock tonight, White Castle. Reservations. She said, and this is not my mother's first White Castle on Valentine's Day, by the way. There is apparently a gentleman at this particular White Castle who goes alone every year. And my mother has said that she won't do that Not because she won't eat alone, because obviously she does that a lot, but because on Valentine's night, she doesn't want to take up a table for 2 or 4 by herself. Because that big Valentine's Day destination, White Castle. So, oh yeah, absolutely. If I lived in the Northeast, I'd be all over it. And I'd be the guy, I'm not trying to, just behave a certain way, all suave and debonair. No. I'd be there with at least 12 cheeseburgers by myself.
Oh, you wouldn't even bring your wife to White Castle. You'd just go alone.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming, that I'm alone. I mean, if I'm in the Northeast, she's left me. I've relocated. So, no, I couldn't take my wife. No, she would leave me over that. Where are we going?
That is good to know. I hold her in a lot higher regard, and I hold your wife in very high regard. But the fact that she would not do that with you, I feel really good about hearing that.
No, I think it's a character flaw on her part, but that's okay. We can agree to disagree. So, hey, you know how you got excited when a friend of our mutual friend sent you the list of unrestricted free agents in the NFL? Right.
Yep. Made my day.
Right. Well, you know what I've been getting all geeky about lately? And there's so many things. Where do I start? Okay. But, the SEC, now that Oklahoma and Texas are coming on board, baby, 2024, we got to put a schedule together.
Yes, we do.
And we got to figure out who's everybody's 3 schools they're going to play every year. And if you don't think this is a big deal, try doing it. All right. In fact, Mark, that's what I would do if I was at a White Castle. I'd sit there with a piece of paper and a pen. All right. And I'd eat anywhere from 12 to 24 cheeseburgers while trying to map out the SEC schedule grid.
Well, let's just start with the Gators.
Okay. Remember, you only get 3. Yeah, Georgia's obvious.
No, I know. And then beyond that, what's obvious?
Well, because remember, you may have schools that you want for yourself. You don't think there are other schools that want them? Here, I'll give you an example, Florida. Can I answer the Florida question by bringing up other schools? Tennessee. What's Tennessee's list going to be?
It's going to start with Alabama.
Damn right it is. And you got to figure Vandy, right? I mean, you have to figure Vandy. But I've seen a list here. Bud Elliott has spent 2 weeks on this. Every day he comes up with a different version. The one he put out this morning at 7 a.m. has Tennessee's 3 schools as Bama, South Carolina, and Kentucky. Remember, Kentucky's a border game. Now, Tennessee doesn't consider it the rivalry that Kentucky does. That's actually the biggest SEC game on Kentucky's schedule every year is Tennessee. But, South Carolina's got their hand raised. They want Georgia, but they want Florida. You're going to give it to them. Bud came up with Georgia, Tennessee, and Vandy for South Carolina. I have to admit, the latest schedule that he came up with for Florida is the craziest one I've seen. Georgia, Kentucky, Oklahoma. See, that's the other thing. You may go, ooh, yeah, well, we gotta put a schedule together. We got 16 schools here. Okay, there's going to be along the way. For example, do Alabama.
Auburn.
Okay, got to do Auburn. And what's the 3rd or 4th Saturday in October?
Tennessee.
Okay, so now pick the other one. And no one will think
of my head has been Ole Miss with them.
Okay.
Here's maybe been the one I watched a little Book of Manning SEC storied over the weekend, and
here's the one for me with Alabama that no one will think of. You do know they're 80 miles from Starkville. Starkville's almost twice as close to Tuscaloosa as Auburn. Auburn's over 150 miles from Tuscaloosa. Starkville's 82. It's connected by U.S. Route 82. I mean, seriously, you go to the north end of Tuscaloosa, you make a left. You drive for an hour and 10 minutes, you get off the highway, you make another left. And then you pull into Davis-Wade Stadium. And so no one thinks about Mississippi State. But, if Alabama, if you were to do it by biggest, and then also, are you really two schools 80 miles apart are not going to be, Mississippi State's like, listen, we got to play Ole Miss and we got to play Bama. You can give the third game, don't care who you give us, but we got to play these two. And, you tell me, Mark, is Mississippi State going to get Bama on the schedule? 80 miles. How many rivalries are within 80 miles of one another? Are you not going to give Tennessee Vandy? First off, Tennessee's like, well, hell, we want it because we win 19 out of 20. But the other thing is, it's Nashville. Come on, you're Tennessee. You got business to do here. You got a lot of alums here. We need this game on the schedule every year. Well, okay. So now you got Bama and you got Vandy. Georgia or Florida, which one you losing?
Right. Or both, because you're getting Kentucky.
Yeah. Gator Dad in our Twitch chat room, UF has to play UT. Can't spell citrus without it. That's good line. 25 years old, but a good line still. By the way, did you see Spurrier got a street named after him? I think it's the street that his restaurant's on, Steve Spurrier Way, which had me ask the question, what the hell took so long? Seriously? Wait a minute. Wait, he's just now getting a street named after him? I digress.
Not a building, but that's a whole nother point.
Right. But anyway. So, you start to do this. Like, Texas. Here's the funny thing. A&M wants no part of them. No, seriously. They are angry still.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They're getting each other.
You're damn right they are.
And Texas is getting Oklahoma.
Okay, so now who you got left?
Arkansas?
Well, if so, man, put the Southwest Conference back together again.
But then you have the schools like Missouri. They're going to get 3 schools. Even though you don't really want them to, they have to get 3 also.
Right. Mm-hmm. And for the last, Bud Elliott exercise, Missouri's 3 would be Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi State. A&M, by the way, Texas, LSU, Mississippi State. Yeah. So think about it here. Florida's played LSU now for what, 30 years? 25 years? That's been the crossover game. If you're a Gator fan, that rivalry's gotten a little nasty, actually. There's been some epic games in that rivalry in the last 20 years. You want to lose that? Do you want to go back to playing Auburn regularly? That used to be a thing. Meanwhile, Auburn's like, hold on a second.
No chance. Because, maybe, but Auburn's getting Georgia and Alabama.
Exactly. So Auburn's like, hold on. You want to give us Florida? Seriously? What do we ever do to you?
And that's why I look at Georgia. They're going to get the Gators. They're going to get Auburn. Who's their third? Tennessee? South Carolina?
Right. Kentucky? So this, to me, is interesting. We talked about this. We thought they were going to go to the 4-team divisions. So you'd have your 3 that you played every year. Remember, when we thought they were going to go to that mark, we wondered, so what's Florida's division going to be? Are we just going to keep it geography? Are we going to go Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina? Boom, boom, boom. Seriously, if you're a Gator fan right now, Georgia's the obvious.
Who are the other 2?
Who are the other 2? Right now, if you had to bet, Mark, I don't think the Florida-Tennessee game survives. If I had to bet right now with who has to be on Tennessee's schedule for Tennessee, all right, we think there's 1 spot left for Tennessee. We really think they're going to give them Florida over Georgia?
I don't know if LSU Florida survives this.
I don't know if it does either. And if you think about it, outside of Florida State, those are the 2 staples. Georgia, Tennessee, LSU, Florida State. Basically, every year, those are the 4 big games. And we think 2 of them right now, if we had to throw $20 in the middle of the pot, 2 of them could go away. And who do you want if you're a Gator fan? And don't just say, I want Mississippi State and Vandy so I can get 2 wins. I mean, imagine you actually have to buy tickets. Remember, Georgia's not a home and home.
This is seeming like it will be a home game sooner than later. This exercise spells the end of the cocktail party, if you ask me.
By the way, in Bud Elliott's little schedule here, Georgia's 3 are Auburn, Florida, and you got to figure those 2 are locked in, right? And he gave them South Carolina.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Which means that Georgia, Tennessee goes away. If you're Tennessee, you're going to lose Florida and Georgia every year on your schedule. It may help you win, but the home schedule for tickets may suck.
Because that means they probably end up with Kentucky, Alabama, Vandy, Kentucky.
Right. So that's just, you print out that unrestricted free agent list. You just keep crossing off guys one at a time when they sign. All right. Very sexy on Valentine's Day. I'm just going to sit here with my SEC slates as to what the schedules are going to look like. Proposal number 14, proposal number 29. That's what I got going on. And I'm
unrestricted free agency and SEC future schedules. It's how Miller and Moulton spend a Valentine's Day. How do you not spell romance with that?
Sexy.
Look at all these D linemen that are unrestricted free agents. And who the hell's Vanderbilt going to play for their 3rd conference game? Pat Kirwan, he's next. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill, the Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Morning.
Good morning, fellas.
Morning, Pat.
Man, do you guys care a lot about college schedules?
Just having a little fun. Just a couple of sexy guys on Valentine's Day, Pat.
I saw that.
Diving into the list of unrestricted NFL free agents and the SEC schedule grid.
Hey, it's 2 days after the Super Bowl. Switch gears, and you did it right in front of
There it is,
the
Pat.
whole thing.
There it is. That's my 2 pages of NFL unrestricted free agents right there.
Yeah, on that list, Mark, do they have all the players on the bubble whose contracts are going to
No.
dump them?
No. That doesn't include any of that.
Yeah. It's all good. You know what? If you guys had a chance, you would have got rid of Kentucky. They didn't fit with anybody.
No, it's true.
That's the problem. The Kentuckys, the Missouris, there's a handful of schools that no one gives a damn about, but they've still got to play 3 teams.
They should get each other and get one turd into this next round. How many people would go to the Kentucky-Missouri game? 25,000? 30,000?
That's how many normally go. Unless it's basketball. So how did it feel Friday night or Saturday night at the Blades?
Oh, that overtime wouldn't end. It was like, and we had them. It was 2-1, and then they got a kind of a cheap goal, and then overtime came. The 3-on-3 didn't work, and then it was the shootout. They were running out of guys. I was wondering what was going to happen if you ran out of guys. Were the goalies going to have to shoot on each other? What was that?
They redo it. If you go through everybody, you just start at the top again.
And they had them multiple times where I thought, it's over. We're going to win this. And then we lose. It was ridiculous.
I just figured you just felt good being back. A little air conditioning, couple beers.
It was perfect. It was absolutely like a busman's holiday. 1 day of no football. It was really – I was with my brother. 2 of my brothers were in town, so it was really a lot of fun.
Did you take a red eye out Friday?
Yeah.
Through Atlanta?
No, through Charlotte, American.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. I just wanted to get on the earliest one possible. I got back. I was in town at 8:45 Saturday morning. It's good.
Love that zombie walk after you got to change planes after the red eye.
This doesn't happen enough. When we came into Charlotte, we came in at gate B15, and the flight to RSW was B14. That never happens. It's always like A29, Let's start walking. And in Charlotte, you got to pass all those white rocking chairs.
Yes.
No, it was the next gate. It was terrific. And Jimmy, I told Jim, stop staying, because he would have had to come home today the way it was going to work out. I said, Jimmy, just go down on the field at the end of the game. We're in the Western time zone out there. Just bang out 4 or 5 interviews and leave and go to the airport and get on the plane. You got 3 kids at home that are in elementary school. So he did. And we had, Jim was like, he was on the show. Jimmy, who do you got there? It's just
15 seconds.
Taped interviews. I got Andy Reid. Okay, let's talk to Andy. He did a great job, and then he got home. Look, we went to the Kansas City Cincinnati game and never came home. That's the point.
Right.
A little tired of that. Go to the combine in 2 weeks. Shoot me.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the 8 o'clock hour on Valentine's Day. Don't forget, guys. Don't Forget. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. It's time for Pat Kirwan. He of NFL Radio's Moving the Chain, CBS's NFL Today Show. Pat's weekly appearances brought to us courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, over a dozen locations in between Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. So what was it like to see your friends and family for the first time in over 2 weeks?
Oh, it was great. Everything was great until I heard you guys talking about Valentine's Day and who Kentucky's going to play. If you take your wives out for dinner tonight, don't bring up the Southeast Conference schedule, please.
That will not be the initial conversation.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. This is the same guy who in the middle of the season, brings offensive line coaches on to talk about the A gap and the B gap. You're giving us a problem about the SEC schedule grid?
I'm not giving you a problem. I'm just warning you. I know what happens when you start doing what I do. And, here I am with you two. But you look like you got a chance to have decent lives. Turn back. I'm just telling you. You don't need to go down my trail.
All right, Pat, the Super Bowl. Just your thoughts on what was a tremendous, tremendous game.
Well, let's start with what failed for Philadelphia. I mean, it's pretty simple to me. The pass rush failed and the running game failed. Hurts was going to get his, but the running game itself, Gainwell, Sanders, and Boston, 17 carries for 45 yards behind that great offensive line. What's that tell you? They failed. And the pass rush, the stubbornness, and I'll use the word stubbornness, of thinking my four-man rush is going to get there. Oh, my four-man rush is going to get there. Let's try that four-man rush. It never got there. No sacks in the game, 27 throws. So those are the two things that went the wrong way for Philadelphia in the game. A little disappointed in the field and the slipperiness and all that business. And every team that says, yeah, we're going to do what Arizona does. We're going to have a grass on trays. We're going to leave it outside. Bring it. I don't know. I think that was set back 100 years. So that those things, Hurts was going to be the MVP if they won the game. And I think everyone would agree with that, even though he fumbled, which might have been the biggest problem in the game. Subbing out your backup punter for your returning punter, and then he hits the line drive, which turns into the Kadarius Toney return. Those were interesting plays. But at the end of the day, it was the Mahomes show and the guts that guy has. I stood on the field in the Bengal game and watched him hop around the field and win. And then he got hurt again in this one, and he's just phenomenal. And when they started, look, we thought the tight end stuff, they might be able to handle Kelsey. They kept him to 6, but he got a touchdown. We thought 5 would be not enough for them to win. But when they got to Juju and the other guys, it just tells you about how really talented Mahomes is. So at the end, I think the right team won. At the very last thing that we did on Saturday on our pregame show, I said, Jimmy took Philly. I said, I'm taking Kansas City, and they're going to win on the last play of the game with a field goal. And all week I thought Philly would win. But the more I thought about Mahomes and Andy Reid, maybe this is the last thing I'll say. Andy Reid is maybe the greatest play developer, not play caller. He develops concepts that knock people really from – they don't even know how to play the guy when he has all these crazy ideas, and the players execute them all the time.
Well, there's no doubt to get two guys that wide open, that close to the goal line for back-to-back touchdowns was remarkable. I mean, normally the only way you see that is if somebody falls or if somebody gets picked, and neither happened on both of those plays. Back to the field, Pat. If you're the NFL, do you say, listen, we've let you do this now your way for 3 Super Bowls, and we were paying attention, did this way for the national semifinal, TCU against Michigan, and guys are constantly slipping and sliding. You need to get turf. Don't know what to tell you. You don't have a vote anymore. It's not working. You need to get turf. Do you think the NFL does that? Because they want Phoenix in the every 7-year Super Bowl rotation, but you can't keep having this as an issue.
No, you can't. They can say basically, if you don't get the field changed, we're not going to give you a Super Bowl. But George Toma is retired, and they hired him. He's the Mr. NFL Fields. No one's ever complained about the guy before, but he said the field would be fine, and it wasn't. I also think, and this is not wildly, but you can't put all that paint on these fields. and go look at all the signage and signatures and all the junk they paint onto the field. That last field goal kick, did you see when he moved to the middle of the field to set up the middle of the field kick? Guess where the holder was? Right in the paint. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, if he slips on, after all that's gone on, if that kicker loses his footing when he sticks his plant foot in the ground, they'll be held to pay. But the NFL is just, they don't tell people what to do in that. They just don't pick them again for Super Bowl. Pick another city.
You mentioned it, Patrick Mahomes. This is rarefied air, obviously, with the MVPs and the 2 Super Bowls, but just his performance, being able to pull off the run, being able to throw some of the balls he did. And the fact of the matter is, Patty didn't have his best game.
No, he had a remarkable game considering the circumstances he was under, and all the threats of what this pass rusher is going to do. And then he was able to look. There were no sacks, but he also avoided about 3 or 4 of them, as shifty as he could be. Childress says this all the time. They study crazy stuff like how many times can you run for first down as a quarterback. They know the magic number is 3. If you get 3 rushing first downs from a scrambling quarterback, you have the percentage risk of you winning the game goes way up. And he did run for 3 first downs on those scrambles, and those things are huge. They don't show up as anything big, except he didn't throw an incompletion and punt. He didn't come up short and have to punt. He moved the chains, and considering his physical condition, it was awesome. First down on when he ran, I think, for 14 yards. Another one, obviously, when he ran for 26 yards, and another one, I believe he ran for 3 yards. So those kind of hidden things are part of the magic of Pat Mahomes.
Well, Buddy Ryan, of all people, said this with Randall Cunningham in the late 80s. He said most games in the NFL are decided by 7 points or less. So basically a one-play game. I got a quarterback that I think can run for 3 or 4 first downs. That gives me 9 to 12 extra snaps to make that one play. And if you think about it, 3 rushing first downs, in theory, that's 9 extra snaps. A game decided by 3 points, fill in the blanks accordingly. Listen, the NFL should send Bradbury millions of dollars for the way he handled it afterwards and for saying, yeah, I grabbed him, I held him. He did say, I kind of thought I'd get away with it. It's kind of how the game has gone. But, he stood up and said, hey, it was a penalty. Okay,
he put the fire out immediately.
Okay. And God knows the damage that might have been done in the city of Philadelphia if he hadn't, unfortunately. But Pat, your thoughts on, we say there's holding on every play offensively. Okay. So it's just a matter of what you're going to decide to call. Well, they didn't call an offensive holding. They didn't call a defensive pass interference or holding the whole game until there was under 2 minutes to go. Okay. But at the end of the day, did you agree with the call?
Yeah, I felt bad for Philly that they called it, but you got to call certain things. They didn't call a lot of penalties. Me and penalties. I was very pleased that they kept the game to minimum amount of penalties. But yeah, it was what it was. And what we don't know is how many times that ref almost called it on Bradbury. And we can sit here and say we don't study the tape, and I'll watch the coach's tape probably today or tomorrow, but we don't know how many times he was really getting ready to throw that flag on him and finally had enough of it. So there's a lot of shifty route running by those players.
Well, and Pat, remember, we pointed this out yesterday. Early second quarter, the Eagles have made it 14-7. And the Chiefs had a 3rd and 6, I think it was. And they tried to hit Schuster over the middle, and Bradbury grabbed them and twirled them, and it wasn't called.
Thank you.
And the Chiefs had to punt. Okay. And so it was ironic, to say the least, that on a play in which he might have grabbed him less than he did in the second quarter, that was when the flag was thrown.
Yeah. And that's my point about when you go back and study it, you realize that either he was being warned or the ref was letting it go, but realizing I'm not going to let him have another one of those. That happens. In regards to the Philly fans they went crazy anyway, apparently, after the game in downtown Phoenix. But behavior is really getting a little dangerous around this world when it comes to sport losing. And it might have started with soccer and the stadiums and all that business 25, 30 years ago, but it's getting a little ridiculous now. We have to be very careful about what fans think they're entitled to do after a loss.
It's mob mentality, and it's never been pretty. You mentioned earlier that the pass rush failed, and there's no doubt that it did because they didn't sack Mahomes. Were they ill-prepared to make a change when they weren't getting sacks, Pat? I mean, was it a matter of being too stubborn to not blitz or not being prepared to blitz if the four-man rush didn't work?
Well, I think every coach I've ever known is prepared to blitz when they're supposed to. Usually it comes as an order from the head coach. Greg Robinson was playing with Denver. He's a DC, and they're playing the Packers. And Mike Shanahan turned to Greg and said, keep bringing the heat. So the head coach put the green light on it, and they were blowing Favre up at the end. So the head coach is really the one who's got to say, your four-man rush ain't getting there. And especially when he got hurt right before half. It's time for the sharks in the water. You got to be blitzing inside and forcing him to his left, right? That's what everyone wanted to do. We all saw in the Cincinnati game when he got to his left, he was having a hard time switching his weight so he could throw the ball. So if the head coach doesn't give you the green light and the guy keeps thinking remember 57 of those 78 sacks were from the front four. The head coach is the one who's supposed to say, turn up the juice.
We've got about 20 seconds here, but the defensive coordinator interviewed for the Arizona job. If you're Arizona, the fact that, he didn't do a very good job in the second half, would that influence the decision-making at all, or is being a head coach different?
Well, he's never been a head coach, so they don't even know if he can be that. But I'll tell you what I would have done. I would have brought him in the room in Arizona, turned the lights off, and put the film on and say, let's go one play at a time and tell me every thought you had. Because that's the one thing I can find out if he knows how to be a head coach. Because that's what they're going to do when he is a head coach on Mondays after the game.
He's Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Moving the Chain, CBS's NFL Today show. His weekly appearances brought to us courtesy of Pinchers. More with Pat Kirwan on the other side. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
When do you leave for the combine?
I have 2 weeks. The end of this month. Yeah. I think we're there Tuesday to Saturday. It's good. It's great content for us because we're going to land up with, I don't know, 50, 60 interviews, and we'll use them all spring. Plus, the top 10 guys that I think are smart, we're going to hook them up for a weeklies, which is even better.
Will the agents, like the guys who will show up to be measured but won't work out, will their agents let them do interviews with you?
They have no chance to stop it because we are where the agents aren't, and we just stop the players and go, get over here and sit down, and they do. And I always tell them, if you don't do it, I'm going to tell everyone you didn't do it, and I'll tell them why you didn't do it. You're scared. And they just say, okay, and they just sit down.
You're such a sweet talker.
Look, I tell them every interview is being sent to the GMs. Do you want me to say, I tried to get him to do an interview and he didn't want you to know what he was thinking? You're right. Most of the agents, I call them and go, if your guy doesn't stop and sit down with us, I'm going to tell the GMs you refuse to. Do you want that? No. It's not hard. It's fish in a barrel when you go there.
Well, enjoy going there.
Ugh.
It looks as if I don't know who's going to ruin the combine in Indianapolis first, the NFL or the NFLPA.
The NFL won't do it. They're making money off it now that it's on TV. It's the most boring television of all time.
I know, but my fear is they're going to move it, though. And it works in Indianapolis.
Well, they have, Jerry Jones wants it, but they found out last year remember when it was going to move and then it returned? Why? Because of the hospitals.
Right.
Nobody can guarantee the hospital, carte blanche is what they have in Indianapolis. Walk them in, get them done.
Oh.
Hey, you know who did great in the Super Bowl? Greg Olsen. I thought his call was terrific. He was on top of so many smart things. And if you paid attention, you guys always pay attention, but the fans learned some stuff. And I thought his delivery was great. I was happy for him under the pressure he's under. I thought Greg did great.
I thought he had a great fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Kind of a shame he's getting a $7 million pay cut.
Well, not yet.
Not yet. He ain't getting a $7 million cut. They're going to change that number fast.
Yeah.
Good.
Besides, he keeps the $10 million for next year as he's still the number one. And then
he'll just change the number.
Yeah.
And they'll ask him for an extension, which he shouldn't give him.
No, he should want to be a free agent to replace Collinsworth.
Well, as long as he keeps that same clause that he can leave to be the number one, sign any extension you want.
Right.
He's got a clause that he can go leave to be a number one at another network.
And he will. He was terrific.
I mean, if you think about it, if Troy will remain at Monday Night Football, Romo will remain at CBS, and if Brady, does this, Collinsworth does the Super Bowl in 3 years. It would seem, and I think his contract runs through that Super Bowl, would seem a natural after it to then transition and grab Olsen.
Yeah, Olsen's he made a lot of money the other night. Hey, tell me about college football. I was with the CBS guys. They happen to be out in Phoenix. Now all they care about is the Big Ten.
Yeah, they have one more year of the SEC in which they'll also start doing some Big Ten games. But yeah, then they're all in on the Big Ten.
They were asking me a ton of questions about connections I had in Big Ten places. And I said, I got Jimmy Miller here. He knows every head coach in the Big Ten. He deals with them. He was at the Big Ten Network. He can hook you up with a lot of stuff. But what do you think they're going to do with Gary, with your boy?
He'll be fine. Sean loves him. Sean actually thinks he's the number one analyst at the network, all sports.
Coming back.
He'll be fine.
We'll talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Longtime Heat broadcaster and sometime assistant coach Tony Fiorentino to join us, talk with some Miami Heat in the next 20 minutes. Our remaining moments with Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, CBS's NFL Today show. Pat joins us once again, courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, a whole bunch of points in between Pinchers because you can't fake fresh.
Well, Pat, the NFL turns the page pretty quickly. You know, you and I talked a little bit during the break, the unrestricted free agency, but the next part's coming now is we're going to start seeing players released. You know, Derek Carr's the big talk, but how many? I mean, this is basically bloodletting week for the NFL as they're going to start getting rid of a lot of players and start getting cap casualties coming at us hot and heavy, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. So, I mean, when you're in pro personnel, which I was for a long time, it's not just the free agents. You can go hit print and learn who they are, but you got to go through every contract and look at the guys that have all kinds of issues, or the team has cap structural problems and they got to dump guys. So bubble players are all over the place. And some of them will take obviously restructured deals. Zeke Elliott, guys like that, Leonard Fournette, Derek Carr, you mentioned. What's Ryan Tannehill doing? Wentz, Matt Ryan, Jameis Winston, Mariota. You know, I keep going here. I got my own whole book of just bubble contracts where guys might have to go. Frank Clark. There's a lot of them out there. And they're going to have to look. The agent's going to have to look and say, if I let my guy go to free agency, he's going to be on a big fat list. Or we're going to let him cut our guy because we think that the free agent list is weak or the draft is weak. So you got to make those kind of economic decisions if you're the agent. And the club knows which ones are going to be in there. Wide receivers, lots of guys that could be on that list that the contract's kind of fat, and you just wonder, are they living up to the contract? So to me, cap casualties sometimes are even more interesting than the free agent list.
The last couple of years, it's been tight with the cap. The cap actually went down and stayed down for a couple of years. This year, it's going up a little less than 20 million. It's going up. When you look at where teams are right now, are they in a better position cap-wise than they have been the last couple of years? Or basically, is it like most people in everyday life? You live according to your income, and are teams just as much over the cap now as they have been?
There'll be 10 teams that are destined to be over the cap, and they're projected to be over the cap. So the first thing I do is go to the teams that are projected to be over the cap. I mean, they have ways to get under the cap, but if you're projected to be over the cap, I'm going to look right at your big fat contracts and say, well, which guys are you going to deal with? So let's just use the Eagles for a second. Not much over the cap, scheduled to be $1 million over the cap, which is literally nothing, but they have 11 starters on the free agent list, and they have basically enough guys, 19 guys that are going to be unrestricted free agents. So are they going to be able to secure them? Look at the defensive line. Some of them will retire. Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Javon Hargrave, just keep James Bradbury is on that list. Kaiser White's on the list. T.G. Edwards is on the list. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, pretty good player. Marcus Epps. So they got a lot of defensive starters that are out of contract, and they don't have any cap space. So let's say they want to bring back one or two of those guys. Now I just go and start looking at their contracts going, I did the contracts for a long time. So just look at them and say, who are they going to try to restructure, which means I don't get my hands on them, and who are they going to release? And the agents are going to call around to clubs and go, hey, should I let him release my guy? Are you interested in my guy? Yeah, if he's free, we'd talk about him. So I think you're going to see all that going on. So first thing I did on Monday morning was look at the Eagles and the Chiefs. And the Chiefs are in tremendous shape. They got 11 million in cap space, which is not a lot, but they're really only dealing with 6 starters. So they could keep their team if they want to. And obviously Philadelphia can't. That'll be the first example I bring up of how to study teams and their cap situation and all those bubble players.
Where do you think Carr ends up?
I think you got to be really careful with Carr about who thinks they should go get him. A lot of what happens to him might have something to do with, let's see, the man in the dark today, day 2 of the 4-man in the dark. I told Aaron Jones when I was talking to their running back, we talked for about 15 minutes, and at the end of it, I said, hey, do me a favor. Go in that room, turn the light on, and ask him what he's doing. And he didn't get it at first, and then he stopped and started laughing just like you did, David. I go, because that's going to help me understand what's going on. Give me a call. If you turn the light on and ask him what he's going to do and he answers you, call me. But so your car question turns into what's Rodgers doing? What's going to happen is they're going to go to the spot where they think, wow, maybe we should be interested in Garoppolo because he might be more attainable. For Carr, I think the Jets would love to get Rodgers. I talked to someone at the Jet group, and they still think they're going, they have a shot at that. And I asked him, you should ask Rodgers if he wants to follow Brett Favre's pattern, because that's where Favre went. He may not want to do that. He's odd enough that he may not want to. I don't know. I think Carr might land up in New Orleans. He knows he doesn't have to do anything. He's going to get cut today before my show's over. And then he can land up wherever he wants. I think that's a viable place. Look at that division. That division doesn't have a quarterback in it. The whole place is a mess. Atlanta, Tampa, forget it. Carolina. So I think Carr should go to a nice small city. I don't know that he's cut out for the big city with 25 newspapers covering it.
I have to admit, Pat, I don't fully understand. Like Aaron Rodgers' contract, his cap hit for this year is 31 and change.
Yep.
But his dead cap hit's nearly 100 million, and he's going to get nearly 60 million in cash. And when you trade a guy, then future bonuses have to immediately. Like, I'm trying to figure out what is the Packers' cap hit if they trade him. It seems as if it's monstrous.
It's the same as if he was cut. Everything moves forward and you have to take care of the whole thing. So personally, I think he's going to be in Green Bay, but he's holding out this mysterious path that he might be on. I don't think the Packers have a choice but to keep him.
Well, I was going to say his dead cap hit, if you cut a guy, your dead cap hit, it's 99.8 million. So how can they trade him?
Yeah, there is some structure in his contract. I have to read it again. I haven't read it in a while, but personally, I would be keeping him because your best chance to win is with him. Sooner or later, they're going to have to find out if the other guy can play. And there's probably a lot of trepidation about him ever being any good. So I don't know. But your question was Carr. And you got a couple of crazy owners right now. Maybe it's Carolina.
Well, the quarterback class is awful. So when if you can't trade for Rodgers and if you can't get Carr, it's Jimmy Garoppolo, and then there's just a bunch of parts. So this will be fascinating of what teams think they can do with the quarterback position because there are far more jobs out there than there are quality quarterbacks.
Correct.
Pat, in 10 seconds, okay, did Jalen Hurts' performance dramatically change the type of quarterback that teams are now going to draft?
No, everyone keeps saying that. Like, we've been watching athletic runaround quarterbacks for a while. There's just not a lot of Jalen Hurts. Do you think that kid in Alabama can run the G power, which he runs, or the quarterback sweep? He'll go right to they'll have the ambulance on the sideline. No, there's not a lot of guys like him. Now the real question is Jalen Hurts' contract. Yeah, he's got 1 year left at $4 million, but if you let that come and go, you're going to be in the same position that Baltimore's in, where you're threatening to use a franchise tag. They better suck it up. Jalen Hurts deserves more money than Kyler Murray. So just in case people forgot what Kyler Murray got, $230 million, $46 million average. That's what Jalen Hurts is getting.
And that's what Deshaun Watson got as well, fully guaranteed. So there's no doubt it's going to get dicey for the Eagles in negotiations with Hurts. Pat, as always, thanks for your time. Be well. We'll talk again soon. Pat Kirwan from NFL Radio joining us here on Miller and Moulton. Tony Fiorentino is next.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I just thought it'd be good, about a 30% of the season left to just, check in.
Absolutely.
What are you thinking?
Probably could check in with the Magic this week too.
Well, I wanted the game in Chicago to take place because now they're 2.5.
Right.
I think 3 in the loss column out of the play-in. And I think they have like the 6th or 7th best record in the East over the last 2 months.
I don't think this number is working for Tony, but I'm going to try again.
Okay.
I have a different number completely for him.
All right.
Oh, no, sorry.
Wait, hold on. It's ringing.
Okay. There we go. We got him.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. You missed any part of the show, like David Samson and Pat Kirwan, download the podcast, floridasportsnetwork.com, floridasportsnetwork.com. That's where you can find every hour is its own podcast. Listen, if you want to talk Miami Heat, Mark, there are 3 people to get. And if you can't get Riley and you can't get Spo, you talk to Tony Fiorentino, longtime Heat broadcaster, former Heat assistant coach. You follow him on Twitter at Tony Heat 3XWC, 3-time world champion. Tony Heat 3XWC. Tony, it's David and Mark. Once again, thanks for doing this. How are you?
Sure. How you guys doing?
Well, we are doing very well. And our first question is pretty simple. When you look at the Heat right now, what is it that you see?
That's a good question. You're seeing a team that they're still trying to find their way a little bit because they've had a ton of injuries. You never want to use it as an excuse because that just gives the players an out. But the reality of it is, when you've got a team that needs to be functioning on all cylinders, and you have certain guys out at certain times during the year, it kind of upsets the flow. And it seems like the Heat plays to the level of their competition. They have to win a game at the buzzer against the Rockets. I think the Rockets have the worst record in the NBA. And then they go to Orlando. Even though Orlando's got a poor record, they've been playing very well lately, Orlando. The Heat had to come back from 10 down to win the game, and they did. And then last night, they're playing a team with the best record in the West. Very good team, very good. They're 500 team on the road, Denver. And it comes down to the end of the game again. I saw Scott Hastings before the game. He used to play for us the first year. And Dennis Scott was there for NBA TV. And I said to the both of them, I said, why don't we just save everybody a lot of time tonight? Let's make it right now. Start the game with 2 minutes on the clock, 4-point game, Denver. Okay, and then you know what happened? It was with 2 minutes left in the game, Denver was up 6. I was almost right.
Well,
you knew it was going to be that type of game. And then 2 things happened near the end where the Heat have been making the breaks. They didn't get them last night. Well, number one, they're down 4. They run a great out-of-bounds play again, and they get a layup for Jimmy Butler, and he missed it. And it would have put him down 2 with a chance to, maneuver the last half a minute of the game. And then there was a goaltending call on Jimmy where the team was down. He was down 4, and they called goaltending on him where the Heat would have been down 2, and they took it away. And so, and the ball was in the cylinder. It was just, he was a half a second too early. And so those 2 factors down the stretch kind of stifled the Heat. And then they, Max Strus tried to, he made his first 2 free throws with the Heat down 3 late in the game. And he missed the free throw on purpose to try to get it back to shoot the 3, and they got it. So it went right down to the wire like all the games are.
Offensively, did they have enough to challenge all the way through the postseason, Tony? I mean, they are a team that plays great defense, but can they score enough in today's NBA where it seems that every night someone's getting to 130, 140?
It's a good question because they're 30th, they're last in the league in field goal percentage and scoring. And the one stat that's got everybody puzzled and bamboozled here, because last year they led the NBA in 3-point field goal percentage. This year, 28th out of 30. Only Houston and Charlotte are the 2 teams that are shooting worse from the 3-point line. It doesn't make much sense, except for the fact that you can't really get any kind of rhythm when you got guys out so much. When you look at the games missed by the Heat, I think they're right up there among the leaders in the league for most games missed by primetime players. Jimmy Butler has missed 16, Hero's missed 13, Lowry 14, Oladipo 32, Duncan Robinson has missed 30. And what's interesting, and not too many people this, the Heat were toying with the idea, thinking of starting Omer Yurtseven, the 7-foot kid from Turkey, who last year when Bam was out had like 3 or 4 games with 16 or more rebounds. He averaged about 12, 13 rebounds a game when Bam was out with the hand surgery last year. And he hasn't played a minute. He hurt his ankle. He got ankle surgery. They're expecting him back in a week or 2. And the plan was that they were experimenting with him starting at center and Bam at power forward. And then you bring guys like Martin off the bench, Caleb Martin, and guys like that, and now you've got a good rotation going. But it never materialized. So everything's been sideways so far this year for the Heat. You hope that with 30-something games, 20-something games left, that they can find some kind of rhythm going into the last quarter of the season, and then get into the top 6, so you don't have to play into the playoffs, and then go from there.
Is Duncan Robinson a lost cause at this point? Because obviously his game is one that you would think, he kind of fills a couple of the areas where the Heat could use some help, but it seems going back to late last year and now he got hurt this year. It just seems as if, he's just on the outs.
No, he's not a lost cause. He hurt the shooting hand. He hurt the book finger or whatever it was on his right hand. So that's going to take a little more time as opposed to the non-shooting hand. But again, he's been out a long time, missing all those games I mentioned earlier. And who knows how long it will take to get back into rhythm. But you got to feel that if he was available in some of those, that percentage wouldn't be so bad for the Heat. And there were games when somebody's not shooting the ball well. Sometimes Strus doesn't shoot well. Robinson would be in, and he had some unbelievable games last year for the Heat, and he had some earlier in the season. You got to feel that he would have affected maybe some of those close losses to win. So that's part of the trying to figure out where he fits in as well with the rest of the guys, and see how this team can put it together. One of the things you keep in the back of your mind is that they always seem to figure things out with Riley at the helm and Spoelstra running the show on the court. that they seem to figure it out. You've got championship type players, in Lowry and Butler, and we know how good Bam can be. The very well deserved All-Star, and we know how Heroes averaging over 20 a game, and so there's a lot of potential there, but you're running out of time. So you hope there's enough games left where they can put it together.
It really sounds more like anything, Tony, that not only do they have to get healthy, but you talk about the 3-point percentage. To find that rhythm, they need games, they need time, and they're running out of that right now.
Well, what also affects that is when you keep changing the rotation. There is something to be said with something like Max Strus, where he shot 41, 42% last year, and he's down in the 30s now, low 30s. And part of it is he starts some of the games, some games he doesn't, comes off the bench. He's playing a different position sometimes than what he was accustomed to, and that can throw you off a little bit. And it's not an excuse. It's just you're trying to figure out why a great, really, really good shooter can have such an off year. And it's always been a debate that I've had with people over the years. It's like a baseball player. How can a guy who's maybe a 300 hitter, he bats 260, 270 a certain year, just has an off year? That certain guys in pro sports have an off year, or they're up and down during the year. And this is what's happening with the Heat right now. But the bottom line is, and this is a two-edged sword, the Heat can beat anybody on a given night anywhere, but they also can lose to anybody anywhere on a given night. So that's a wide spectrum there.
And Tony, final question. Is it possible that the playoffs will actually kind of cater towards how the Heat play? They're a top 3 defensive team. And you got to figure the playoffs, even though this league now is, who can score 125 first, that the playoffs probably won't be that way. And so in a sense, will the playoffs kind of bring the style of play closer to how the Heat are used to play and like to play? And the games are usually close in the playoffs, and nobody plays as many close games as the Heat.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's a lot in what you said. To win games, you've got to play defense in the playoffs. You got to play defense and rebound. All right. So on one end, the Heat play that type of defense. They don't have to take it up a notch or two. They already have it. Some teams don't play very good defense all year and then think they're going to try to get to that level in the playoffs when you're playing the most intense games. It doesn't work that way. So the Heat are geared like that. And maybe the other side of it is, for example, last night what really hurt the Heat was the paint points that Denver scored. The Heat are very good, one of the best in the league, maybe the best in the league at defending the paint. And last night they gave up 58 points in the paint, but you usually give up 40-something. So I think if they can get Yurtseven back healthy and plug him in there with Bam, the rebounding will improve because he's a rebounding machine. So there's a lot of variables involved, but there are possibilities there. It's not like you're going into the playoffs and you got no shot, especially with a team that's been there. Was in the finals a few years ago, came within a shot last year of getting to the finals. That mentality among the players is that they go out there and they expect to win, not that they're hoping to win. So this is going to be very interesting. The last 20-something games of the season in the playoffs.
Tony, we're always appreciative of your time and your insight. Hopefully we can catch up again on the eve of the playoffs. All the best.
You got it. Anytime, guys.
Tony Fiorentino, longtime Heat broadcaster. Before that, an assistant coach. Follow Tony on Twitter, Tony Heat 3XWC. It stands for 3-time world champion. Tony Heat 3XWC. Tony Fiorentino joining us here on Miller and Moulton. Right now, they're the 6th seed. They'd face the Sixers in the first round. And if you think that, maybe Brooklyn's going to fall out now with no Kyrie, no KD, and if the Heat can stay above the Knicks, maybe, Mark, they move up to the 5, and that's probably Cleveland in the first round. That's a much more desirable playoff series, the veteran Heat against the young Cavs. But right now, you're looking at Philly in the first round for Miami.
Either way, they've got to get healthy. But the point that he made, you can't just go from being one of the best three-point shooting teams to being one of the worst and expect to win in today's NBA game. You can't do it.
I don't think either of those playoff series are desirable at all, actually. But I get what you're saying with the experience,
Well, yeah, and the style of play. But there's no doubt Cleveland will be far more dangerous this year with Donovan Mitchell. But by the way, how about a Philly-Miami playoff series? How about just Embiid against Adebayo for 2 weeks? I mean, that's old school. There's only like 5 of those guys in the league, Mark. I mean, that's actually a series for those of us who like the ball going in to the post and what on the elbow and things like that. Oh, wow. I'm used to this kind of basketball.
Yeah. Somebody plays with his back to the basket.
Yeah, occasionally.
God forbid.
Right. Wait a minute. You mean to tell me the ball's going through the big and then you got Harden and Butler and, I'd pay for that series. That would interest me. Huge coaching advantage too. Spo against Doc Rivers. That's be a big advantage for Miami.
Sorry, I think you mean Glenn Rivers, because he ain't no Doc.
Well, you win a title. That carries through. Even 15 years later, it's still Doc.
Yeah, 3 Hall of Famers.
Don't discount it.
I won't. But
I mean, Felipe, you can pick your narrative however you want, but it came for you to start knocking Miami Heat opponents, and you jumped on the bandwagon again. Right now, hey, avoid the play-in if you're the Heat. That's
right.
the thing I'd like to
we will, and we'll win the play-in if we make the play-in.
We will. Miller and Moulton. So a little David Samson, a little Pat Kirwan, a rowdy Felipe. We teed him up there after the Tony Fiorentino.
Look at that. The idea of the play-in honked him off that much that he did a triple wee.
I know. He's only like a game and a half out of the play-in. I mean, take it easy.
Or a half game.
Okay.
Or a half game
ahead. Oh, that's right. They lost to the Knicks one. Exactly. They're half a game ahead of the Knicks.
Miller and Moulton. Tampa, St. Pete, Lake City, Port Charlotte. Thanks for listening. We'll do it all over at 6. The bonus hour is next.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. e-motorcycles. Check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Adam, 100% Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham.
That was a good show. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Entertaining. Informative. That worked.
I miss seeing Duncan Robinson actually play basketball.
I think they need them. I don't think the way they're presently constructed, even if they get everybody healthy, they get the big guy back to help with the rebounding. They get, like, Tyler Hero didn't play last night. If they have their full lineup, I don't think they have enough unless they get another shooter.
Duncan Robinson needs to be starting.
Well, first.
For who? Vincent?
Can we just
No. At the 2 for Tyler. I like Tyler better as a 6-man also. I know he deserves the starting role, but I liked him better as a 6-man.
Can't have one of your 3 best players not starting. You can't. I'm sorry.
I mean, Ginobili did.
That's a different league. They had to score how many points to win? 90?
100.
Right. You need 125 points to win.
You can get that. You can get those threes right off the bat from Robinson. I don't know. It was perfect. It was Lowry, Robinson, Jimmy, PJ, and Bam last year, and then Hero off the bench.
Yeah, I don't know how much Lowry's got left.
Yeah, he's pissing off a lot of Heat fans too. People are already over him. I'm on the fence with him just because.
Well, he doesn't look healthy. He doesn't look healthy, number one. And number two, he looks as if he's lost a level. And
He has, but he still plays defense, which is important.
Logic Man, what are you talking about?
Dwayne Dedman, because that's the only trade that we made.
Yeah,
It's freezing in here.
Is it really? That sucks.
Cold outside. It's cold in here. Felipe's in a flannel. He's the grunge land over there. It's 1990 Seattle.
1990 Seattle. That's the style.
That's when the grunge thing came out. Yes.
I don't know what the hell that is.
It's what I just said it was. Grunge. Have you heard of grunge?
No.
I would look it up. It's actually culturally very significant.
Okay, I will.
God, I'm going to cry. I'm going to get the fetal position and cry.
I make you feel old, don't I?
No, I make myself feel old. You make me weep for the youth.
Cole, do you know what the grunge is? Yeah.
Neither of you were raised right. My son does.
I'm about to look it up right now.
Nirvana, Pearl Jam. It's kind of a thing.
Nirvana, Pearl Jam. Oh.
Alice in Chains, Soundgarden.
Oh, yeah. You know.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour on this Valentine's Day. I'm wearing red. I'm feeling it. Mark's cooking dinner for the wife and the daughter and his mom. Okay. Yes, we are oozing the romance, ladies and gentlemen. Oozing it. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. But we were in the mood early this morning. We had a Valentine's Day poll question ready before 6 a.m.
That's right. How confident are you that there will be romance in your home tonight?
Romance? You can define that however you'd like. We didn't say canoodling. We said romance.
17% say very.
1 out of 6.
As for the rest of us,
no,
not so much.
How about the Saturday answer, though? That, because we did put a third answer. There's very, there's not very, but we got a little cute / snarky with our third answer.
19.5% say last Saturday night counts. That's what they're going with.
There you go. Make it happen night. Raising its hand. So what do we got? About 63, 64% saying not very confident of any romance tonight. Man. My mom's got a 5 o'clock reservation at White Castle in Jersey.
No romance.
No romance. None
No
whatsoever.
reservation.
But she's fired up. She really is. She's been texting me throughout the show. I mean, she's, very fired up about it.
Do more of you have reservations than romance in your lives tonight?
There you go. How many of you are actually, doing Valentine's Day on Valentine's Day? Or how many of you did it last Saturday? Or are you going to do it this coming Saturday? Apparently, that's what Mark is doing.
And it was not my call. My wife flat out said, "Can you get a babysitter for Saturday so we can have Valentine's Day dinner? Because it's on a Tuesday and you've got no shot," basically, is what she told me.
Right. Okay. But that's hysterical, though. It was your wife's call. Really? Really? No kidding. Felipe is the only man in our lives that actually thinks he's calling the shots. I mean, please.
He's not.
No, not at all.
I never said I'm calling the shots.
No, actually, Felipe, if you were to listen to the show, you have said on multiple different occasions of how much you're in charge of your relationship when we have told you flat out that I've met her. I know her.
Okay, so was calling the shots?
She runs your show.
Right. Yes, that's what Mark has said. Quote, she runs your show. By the way, this is your last show for the week. What are you doing? Where are you going? And with who?
Where are you going this weekend?
Oh, you.
So
Where are you going? What are you doing? Where are you going? With who? That's all. 3 simple questions.
I'm going to New York City with family.
With your girlfriend's family.
Yes.
Right.
Right. She runs your show.
To meet her brothers.
Cole, does she run your show?
You don't see Felipe, he's got someone else in here because he's leaving town. He's trying to pass the buck. Once again, admitting defeat. Felipe just passing the buck does not, it doesn't, I don't care who runs Cole's show. You're a part of this show here, okay? It's Miller and Moulton. Felipe, you're our producer. You've been doing this for a year and a half. I've known you. She runs your show. You may try to act all tough, and you have to have this machoism to you, but it's not there.
Right. The key to a successful relationship is her making you feel as if you're still making some decisions. That's when you know you're with the right person. Okay. She makes you feel like you're still calling the shots and you're not calling any shots, and that's okay.
When she says things like, "Don't you think we should go out to dinner?"
Felipe, by the way, you remember, you're working with 2 middle-aged married guys. Okay. We know how this plays out, okay? Good and bad. So it's okay.
And for the most part, the only time you're running your own show is when you're alone.
Right. So last Valentine's Day, you were running your show. This year, you're not, and you're a lot happier.
Just some Miller Moulton wisdom, right?
Well, we
Every
think
week.
occasionally we think we've got something to say. I mean,
I guess
hopefully,
you're right.
hopefully it rubs off. Uncle Mark, Uncle David.
I'll hit you with the "you're not wrong."
We know.
I was going to say, combined, we've been married like 40 years. Yeah, no, we're doing okay, and we way overachieved, by the way. I mean, the women we're with. I mean, people in front of us come up to them and say, "Did you lose a bet?" Okay, I mean, that's how over our skis we are. So, believe it or not, don't listen to us when it comes to sports. We're actually pretty good when it comes to romance. You know what I'm saying?
That's why we've got poll questions up like we do today.
Exactly.
That shows you
Right.
just how in charge we are.
Yeah.
Can we get an update on that? On the percentages?
Felipe keeps hitting refresh on the poll question.
Yeah.
17% of our audience thinks that there's going to be some romance in their house tonight.
Oh my
Boy,
God.
that's very optimistic.
If we get to 1 in 5, I will consider it a huge win for the
I
men
know.
listening to the show.
I'm going to say the dynamic of this show is a lot better than I thought. So happy Valentine's Day. It's not too late. All right. And listen, don't think you can, no matter what your significant other said to you, do not think that you can just, I don't want anything. Okay. Let's not spend the money. Get something.
Well, that leads me to an interesting spot with you because your wife is Mrs. Don't buy me anything. Don't spend any money on me. And then she yells at you if you do. So
yes, correct. Literally yells at me. Can't believe you spent this money on me.
So if you were to go to the dollar store today and find yourself a cute little Valentine's Day card, would that be met with love or resistance?
Well, I mean, she can't resist. I've already handed her the card. It will be met with disgust, though. It would. There is an opportunity, Mark, for something to happen in our life, which hasn't happened in a very long time. This is the first Valentine's Day that I can recall in which we do not have a pet.
Right. Because the cats back in the day would eat the flowers. The cats ended you buying flowers because the cats would eat the flowers.
Correct. And so then the bulldog, and while the bulldog wouldn't jump up and climb on anything, she would just view it as a waste. And so I actually had a better chance of, being romantic, getting a Valentine's Day gift, and then also having something for Rufus, because she likes the dog more than me. So, I would, try to show my love through the dog. We had no Rufus anymore. No cat, no Rufus. There's an opening. There, I drove past a store that said $14.99 a dozen for roses. I'm thinking of taking the big risk.
You're cannonballing back into the flower pool?
I'm thinking of she's gone for the day. She's off working. All right. And she's going to come back not till dinner time. And I'm thinking that when she walks in, and let me tell you, Mark, it will not be well received because she'll think that's like $50.
Right.
Right. As if somehow she's not worth $50. I mean, last time we had this discussion, okay, it was just recently, in which she's like, remember, we moved. We're in Jacksonville. We're in a brand new condo. And she's like, I don't want you to spend the money on me. And I said, look around. It's $300,000. It's a little too late to not want a Valentine's Day gift.
Maybe just the move was enough. Maybe that gets you off the hook.
So, oh no, I don't have. I'll be one of 4 men in America who will get chastised for getting a Valentine's Day gift. But I'm going to do it anyway.
Now,
where's she going to go? She's like the Reds COO. Where's she going to go?
I struggle with that because, as well, David, because she's also I need a Publix gift card and that's it kind of girl.
A Publix gift card. What's she going to get? Chicken tenders?
A pub sub?
Although I have to admit, okay, if back in the day that was all my wife wanted, that might have actually endeared her more to me. Oh my goodness. I may have to pop the question. Why? All she wanted was chicken tenders.
Mark, do you like the chicken? Do you like the pub sub?
Of course, I like a Publix sub.
Okay, then what was that attitude?
The attitude is that I don't know many women that want a Publix gift card for Valentine's Day.
I don't either.
That might be that to me. That means a lot of things. It means you're probably already on the way out. You've already moved past it.
Really?
Well, yeah.
You said that before we started dating.
You know what? You're going to visit the family this weekend. Ask the brothers. Ask her two brothers.
Yeah.
You wanted a Publix gift card for Valentine's Day. Where does that put me on the list? And I would say they would take you right to the airport and get you on an early return flight.
That's not all I did, by the way.
Good.
So you know.
Good. Don't listen to them. We love them, okay, but they're not being truthful. Okay? No. And here's the other thing, Felipe. You're going to meet the brothers this weekend. You do not want one of them finally going, "Hey, so what'd you get my sister for Valentine's Day?" "Oh, I got her $25 at Publix. It's a great place. Ever heard of it?"
She wanted a sub.
She wanted a sub. I got her a sub and chicken tenders.
She had enough left over that she could get some Altoids when she went through the checkout line.
I mean, a sub, chicken tenders, and a loaded baked potato.
What, the vacuum wasn't available?
Oh my. Although, there's that one vacuum, that like wireless one that has the trigger. Oh my God, that is the best vacuum.
I'll tell you what, he goes from being 14 to 87 on a dime. On a dime.
I have a dog in my house, okay? I need it, and it sheds.
I'll tell you what, you really are from Miami, okay? You can be cool, okay, and ancient, all right, instantly.
You went from having a touch of cool to basically wearing sandals with black socks instantly.
Crocs and all.
No.
Oh,
Sandals.
no.
Sandals.
Yeah, don't mess with the Crocs. They've made a big comeback. Miller and Moulton. So it's Valentine's Day. All right. It's our public service. Don't screw it up, guys and gals. Don't screw it up.
And for those of you going out tonight, you don't normally do it. Tip a little more. You're taken to a nice place. Act like the big shot that you want to be.
Right. When you go to Chipotle, leave a few bucks for the crew. Miller and Moulton. Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You know how over time you look for the little wins in a relationship? Okay, the really little ones. So for whatever, my wife's always cold. And so our house, when we were in Fort Myers, like we kept it at 76, 77. Okay. And for whatever reason, and obviously I wanted it cooler, fat, sweat, plus the whole sleeping thing. I mean, and that's why I always had windows open, fans on. I mean, it can't be cold enough for me. Well, it's cooler here.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, she's come to the conclusion. 23 years in Fort Myers, never came to this conclusion. 5 months in Jacksonville. All of a sudden, she goes, "Hey, I think I like it cooler at night. I sleep better." So, so the condo's now a few degrees cooler, and she didn't turn the heat on the last 2 nights, even though we got down into the 40s.
Wow.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I would say it's around 42 in here right now. That's what it feels like. I sit on my hands to keep my hands warm.
I could see. Logic, man, believe it or not, I'm very flexible. Like in the hotels, usually you walk into the room, it's in the 60s. Usually hotel rooms are between like 65 and 68. It's unbelievable the temperature they keep them at.
By the way, the Colts named the OC from the Eagles there.
Shane Steichen there?
Steichen, yeah.
Steichen, I don't know.
Steichen?
I don't know if it's a hard K sound with CH together or Steichen, I don't know. That was considered a done deal before the Super Bowl. The Jonathan Gannon one, he was just interviewing. But the fact that they didn't hire the Cincinnati guy led people to believe that they were leaning towards Gannon. Honestly, you're the defense coordinator of the Bengals. You take the Arizona Cardinals job?
No.
The only bad thing is the Bengals don't pay well.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to go play with Call of Duty boy.
Yeah, I think I'd turn it down too. I know there's only 32 of them, but I think I'd turn it down.
I could live with that in my next interview. Why didn't you take the job? I know it's one of 32, but I didn't want that job was being set up to fail.
Yeah, the more I thought about it. I mean, Sean Payton just flat out publicly came out and said, I didn't want Kyler Murray. If I was the Cardinals, I'd send him that clip on a loop.
Should the Eagles extend Jalen Hurts this offseason? No, they should let him get to
unrestricted free.
By the way, what's crazy is that Kyler Murray is really good at Call of Duty. Imagine if he was as good at Call of Duty as he was at football.
Tell you what, though, there are times, I saw him in person single-handedly beat a pretty good Cowboys team. He was amazing.
Heisman Trophy winner.
But you keep him in the pocket, though. Whew. Not amazing.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Happy Valentine's Day. We have a Valentine's poll question. What do you think the chances are of some romance tonight? How confident are you? Very, not very. Hey, does last Saturday night count? Those are our three choices. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Vote accordingly.
If I were to throw up another poll question,
okay,
it would be from a Valentine's Day theme. Which do you find to be the biggest waste of money? Cards, flowers, or chocolates?
Cards.
I'm with you.
First off, they've gotten a little pricey. And secondly, they usually have the shelf life of the amount of time it takes to read it.
Like my daughter's figured it out. She makes her own cards. Maybe I should sit with her with the crayons and start making my own cards.
Well,
because no matter what she draws on it, all she has to do is say, I love you, Mom, and the card's a win.
Right. So you should then let her draw your card, and you should just then at the bottom write, me too. And hand it to her and go, huh? What do you say? So I don't know if it's breaking news. It's at least a developing story. I mean, it was pretty much reported Super Bowl Sunday as if this was going to happen, but the Eagles have now officially lost their offensive coordinator, Shane. Is it Steichen? I don't know. Chen. He's now the new head coach in Indianapolis. This considered a huge win for Chris Ballard. Apparently, he has spent literally the last 2 weeks begging and pleading with Jim Irsay to not hire Jeff Saturday. And it was apparently only like 3-4 days ago that the owner finally agreed to not promote Jeff Saturday. So you and I would have quit long before this.
Ballard, by most people's account, should have quit when Saturday. That a lot of people thought that he should have walked the moment Saturday was hired because
right.
That let everybody know he didn't do it. I think everybody knew that he didn't do it. I don't know how much credibility he's lost as a GM in this last amount of time. I don't, if any.
Well, in theory, now he got the coach that he wanted. You know, that's Mark. We've all worked at places where we're told we have a certain amount of authority. And then when our boss, or in this case, the owner, swoops in and says, no, it's my team, I'm doing what I want. Well, your authority gets diminished. So now you have to come back and reclaim your authority. And of course, it can be taken away from you in a nanosecond. He's the owner. But apparently, Ballard is now slowly wrestled back being the GM again.
Until Irsay decides he wants to be the GM again.
There you go. Or his daughter, who apparently has got as big a voice as anybody else does right now. But then again, considering what a moron her dad is, I'm kind of glad she's throwing her 2 cents in. What else is out there? 113 million total for the Super Bowl. Third most watched show in the history of American television. Rihanna had 119 at halftime. I don't know what Apple TV paid, but I think they got their money's worth.
I would say so.
Derek Carr likely to be released today. The Raiders have to do it by tomorrow. And since Carr has said he's not going to approve a trade and he has a no trade clause, they have no choice but to release him. So it's expected to happen today. And then where he ends up, I mean, see, I don't think the reason why I don't think it's going to be the Jets is because I think the Jets are holding out for Rodgers. And so Rodgers just began his 4-day darkness tour. So don't you think by the time Aaron Rodgers emerges from the darkness that Derek Carr will have a new home? I'm being serious. I mean, let's just say he's going into the darkness today. By Saturday morning when he emerges from the darkness.
All right. You want me to take you serious, and you're
Yes.
saying when he emerges from the darkness. It's really hard to take someone serious when someone's going in and out of the darkness this much.
Well, I don't know what to say. It's his idea. I mean, we think he's an idiot, but that's okay. I mean, you know, he's eccentric. See, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's not an idiot. He's eccentric.
Right.
He's an artist.
So after he has his hallucinogenic moments here
for 4 days, right?
He comes out, and that's the vision that he will take with him,
right,
back to Green Bay and let them know what his intentions are.
Apparently, though, he's getting DoorDash. But anyway, so by Saturday morning, in all seriousness, he emerges from the darkness. He's decided what it is he wants to do. Don't you think by then Carr is already signed with somebody? So if you think a team is serious about Aaron Rodgers, well, then they're not going to have Derek Carr signed by Saturday. I expect Derek Carr to be in New Orleans, Carolina, someplace by Saturday. I mean, you think it's a coincidence that Derek Carr all of a sudden a few days ago said to the Raiders, I'm not approving a trade? His agent's been talking to 8 teams for the last week. He knows what the offer he's going to get and from where. And it's clearly as good or better than his current contract. Otherwise, he would have insisted on being traded so that he would still get paid what he's currently scheduled to get paid. So just gut feeling. First off, do you agree with my reasoning that the Jets are all in on Rodgers? So they got to wait out his 4 days in the dark. And by then, do you think Derek Carr, when he gets cut later today, is still unemployed by Saturday?
I actually think Carr will still be unemployed on Saturday.
Ooh, okay.
I think the fact that there are multiple suitors. I think the reason there's no trade is that there are multiple suitors, and I think he wanted to stick it to the Raiders at the end of the day.
Well, you and I can respect that.
In a big way.
His stock just went up in our minds.
He might be our quarterback, actually.
But I think Carr is signed by Saturday. I think he's signed by Thursday. If he's released
in
today.
that case, he's probably already signed now, if you know what I mean. Because none of these deals can get done until the new year starts and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it'll go in the drawer until they can put it out there.
Yeah, totally. Now, what to me is interesting is, Garoppolo got mentioned in Tampa. I find that interesting.
Find it difficult how they're going to do it with the cap situation that they're in.
Yes, very much so.
And does that make one of the 9 offensive coordinators they've interviewed more likely to take the job?
I mean, I have to admit, my gut tells me there's a better chance of Kyle Trask than Jimmy Garoppolo in Tampa, but that's just a gut feeling. So that's out there. Carr likely to be released today. Heat lost last night. They're only a half a game above the play-in line, which is the Knicks. And don't look now, but the Orlando Magic, who have like the 5th best record in the East over the last 2 months, are within 3 games of the play-in after a win in Chicago. And the Florida Panthers haven't lost since the All-Star break. And they're a point out of the playoffs, although the team they're a point behind has 4 games in hand in the Pittsburgh Penguins. But, hey, you got to get close.
Got to start somewhere, David. And the Panthers have done their job since the break of picking up a few wins, a nice shootout win last night to get another big 2 points on the road.
And how about the Canes? We actually called that one. They were getting 5. We were like, you got to take the Canes in the points.
How about them Canes?
How about them Canes? All right. Went into Chapel Hill last night and controlled the Tar Heels in an 8-point win. They were a game out of first in the ACC. Miller and Moulton, good, bad, and ugly, and all that stuff is next.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Damn, bro. Adam, he's aggressive, man. He's end up like his loser brother. Jeez. Who's better, a healthy Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts?
I think Jalen might throw it better.
David, healthy Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts?
Who throws it better?
Right now, I think you got to go with Hurts.
I think he throws it better.
Which is shocking. But Mars had 2 seasons in a row where he couldn't finish the year. I mean, he's had 2 years in a row where he's missed the last 6 games of the season, both years, right? And
yeah. But again, I know he got injured, but before he got injured this year,
I understand. Don't you think talking about Lamar is kind of a little bit like talking about Kyrie?
Like if he plays.
When Kyrie plays, he's amazing. Amazing. Amazing.
They don't play.
But can you count on Kyrie Irving?
I mean, it's different, obviously.
No. The reasons are different. But when Lamar plays, he's amazing. But can we now count on him? Can you count on Kyrie Irving? I mean, Lamar's wanting $230 million. Can you pay him that? If you're an organization? Kyrie's wanting $50 a year. That's the going rate nowadays for a player of that level. He wants 3 for $150 or 4 for $198, which is what Durant got from the Nets. Are you going to pay him it? Because I ain't. Felipe, one-on-one. Could anybody beat Kyrie Irving in this league?
No.
One-on-one.
Oh, no.
No.
No, he's unguardable.
Right. And yet I wouldn't want anything to do with him. And that's me. I love my divas.
I know you love your divas.
I love J-Lo. I love Megan. I love my divas.
Kyrie's got championship experience.
When I bail on you, you ain't a diva anymore. You're
a pain
Martian. Yes, you're out there. If I bail on you.
10 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes until the top of the hour, 17 until we're out of here. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Happy Valentine's Day. Have some fun. Answer our Valentine's Day poll question. It's Valentine's Day tonight. You know what that usually means, but it's on a Tuesday. So, you know, we're asking how confident are you that there's going to be some romance tonight? Very, not very. And, well, does last Saturday count?
The numbers are changing as the younger folks are waking up and hitting the poll question. 24% of our audience thinks they're getting lucky tonight, essentially.
Whoa!
That number went up.
Wow. Wow. That's impressive. Just it's a word.
Or a lack of votes. One or the other.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. You ready to do this?
Let's get after it.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Well, we start in 1929, the St. Valentine's Day massacres where Capone had 7 gangsters killed. The original Dracula was released today in 1931. If you're really old, you remember these two people, George Burns and Gracie Allen. Their radio show debuted today in 1932.
It was a deal. It was a big thing.
1951, Sugar Ray Robinson defeats Jake LaMotta to take the middleweight title. Wilt in 66 breaks the NBA career scoring record at 20,884 points. Aretha recorded Respect today in 1967. Petty wins his 3rd Daytona today in 71. He would go on to win the inaugural Winston Cup title. Nixon installed secret taping system today at the White House in 71.
On Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
Wow.
Who was Pat talking to that he wanted to find out about? Today in 72, John and Yoko co-hosted the Mike Douglas show for the entire week. I'm trying to think of, that would be who?
Well, we look at our musicians and our actors and actresses differently now, but okay, don't make fun of me. Would that be former President Obama and Michelle hosting a talk show for a week?
Musicians. I mean, is it Jay-Z hosting a show?
And Beyonce? Jay-Z and Beyonce?
That's Jay-Z and Beyonce. That's what I'm trying to explain.
Would it be J-Lo and Ben?
Maybe.
I'll say this, okay, to spark the whole tabloid rumors and what have you. It'd be Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston.
Also in 72, the musical Grease opened on Broadway.
Hey, Canada Relief is a good idea. Would it be Meghan and Harry?
Ooh, there you go. 82, Bobby Allison wins the 24th Daytona 500.
By the way, Daytona sold out. They announced that yesterday. Completely sold out, the 500.
85, Whitney Houston's debut album is released.
It did okay.
It did. It did. 1987, Living on a Prayer became number 1 on Valentine's Day. 1991, Silence of the Lambs was released. That's a date movie for you. Wayne's World was released today in 1992. Dale Jarrett wins the 500 in 93. Gordon wins it in 99. And Michael McDowell won it 2 years ago. In the longest race ever, with the 6-hour race and the crash and delays, and those born today that are no longer with us. Frederick Douglass and Jack Benny. David, these 3 people were all born on the same day. Jimmy Hoffa, Mel Allen, and Woody Hayes. All born today in 1913. Boo Boom Jeffrion, Florence Henderson, Gregory Hines, and Steve McNair. All born today. Those celebrating birthdays, Teller, the one that doesn't talk. Drew Bledsoe and Alan Hunter, all celebrating birthdays today.
As in former VJ, Alan Hunter?
As in former VJ.
Huh. How old is he? 60?
He is... No, he's 66.
Huh. Oh, MTV was 42 years ago, so yeah.
There you go. And that was today was the day when. What did I miss, David?
Well, unfortunately, or maybe you did it on purpose after the events of last night in East Lansing, but you left all the violence out of today. St. Valentine was beheaded today in 270. Also, today was the St. Valentine's Day Massacre in Chicago.
That's what I started with.
Oh, I missed that. Sorry. Pulled the Felipe.
No problem, Felipe.
And Parkland was 5 years ago. So, there you go.
Certainly a lot's happened to stop those.
Yeah, no question about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
People are still cleaning up trash from Hurricane Ian. But yesterday, a volunteer and a cleanup crew came up with a signed Michael Jordan jersey and other sports memorabilia that was found in the mangroves off of Bonita Beach. Rebuild Southwest Florida, now trying to find the owner of these lost treasures. Nathalia White says it's not in ideal conditions, but it's still valuable, and it could be valuable for the owners. So it would be great to find him. For the bad, we go to Cape Coral, where the Cape Coral man was arrested for impersonating a police officer at a Wawa. Cape Coral police were called after someone was being followed with flashing blue and red emergency lights. Alan Young, who was driving the car, used a loudspeaker to tell him to slow down. The problem was he shouldn't have been doing that because he wasn't a police officer. He said he saw the person driving recklessly and turned on his unauthorized red and blue lights. That got him an escort to the Cape Coral Police office where he spent a little time.
Just become a cop at that point. You know, it's really easy to do that too.
Finally, the ugly, we go to Las Vegas, where David, over the weekend, the Wienermobile lost its catalytic converter.
No!
That's right. Sure, they steal them from Hondas and Toyotas, and now it's the Wienermobile.
Unbelievable.
Lost its catalytic converter. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, Valentine's Day, 2023.
No ketchup.
5 games in the association tonight. Magic are in Toronto. Feel badly for them that it's a back-to-back because they need these games. Toronto, they're 3 back of for the final playoff spot or play-in spot in the Eastern Conference. Chicago was tied with Toronto. Magic beat Chicago last night. Now here it is Toronto. They need this one. But the big one tonight, Milwaukee-Boston in Milwaukee. It's the first part of the TNT double dip, 7:30 and 10 o'clock. The back end is Warriors at Clippers.
Would you take Golden State in the 8 tonight on the road?
No Steph? No.
By the way, the
No.
Bucks are an 8.5-point favorite in that game as well.
Yeah, what's going on there? How is Milwaukee that big a favorite at home against Boston? What am I missing? All right. They're separated by a game in the loss column. This is, you know, if you think regular season NBA is significant, this is significant. Somebody out tonight for the Celtics? Gotta be. I mean, one of the big twos got to be not playing, right? Huh.
Panthers are at St. Louis tonight, going back-to-back. Tough task for the Panthers. And the Lightning are at Colorado. After whooping up on them last week in Tampa, they travel to Colorado. I would expect a little bit more out of the Lance tonight, but they're still banged up and not anywhere close to healthy.
So apparently the Celtics do have a ton of people not playing tonight. So much for the big game. One matchup involving ranked teams. It's a Big East matchup, 7 o'clock FS1, Creighton at Providence. The Michigan State-Minnesota game for tonight's been canceled. Everything around the Michigan State campus has been closed and canceled for 48 hours. So nothing before Thursday at your alma mater after the tragedy last night.
Pretty sick to my stomach about it, David.
I could see where you would be. I could see where you would be when they start mentioning places that you know, were at on campus and you know the campus very well. And they start, you know, the students were in this hall and then they were in this center. And yeah, it's you know, kids need to come home from school, whether it's grade school, high school, college. Okay. Whatever happens after they get home is fine, but they need to come home. That's a problem.
So that's a little bit of what's going on tonight across the 3 sports. As David mentioned, not a lot of great college basketball tonight, but there's always a couple of good Big 12 games. 9 o'clock, K-State at Oklahoma, Kansas at Oklahoma State. Both the road teams are favored slightly. They are the 2 ranked teams and favored by 1 and 2 collectively in those 2 games.
By the way, the Minnesota-Michigan State game was scheduled for tomorrow. My bad, since they canceled everything for 48 hours. So they've already canceled that game, even though it's scheduled for tomorrow. There are 2 teams who right now are not even close to being in the NCAA tournament playing tonight. Michigan at Wisconsin on the Deuce at 9 o'clock. It is amazing the teams that right now are not in the tournament. Kentucky would not be in today. North Carolina would not be in today. Michigan would not be in today. And when you consider the force that Wisconsin has been most every year for the last 10 years also, Wisconsin's not in. And it is remarkable. Forget preseason rankings. You know, I mean, North Carolina was the preseason number 1 team in the country. They're not in the tournament on Valentine's Day. Even last year, Mark, when they were kind of, as my mother would call it, footootsing around, they were in the tournament in mid-February. They just were not a good seed.
Well, in the Big Ten, I think their next highest seeded team, like Purdue's a 1 seed. After Purdue, there's nothing in the Big Ten until you get to, I want to say,
Indiana
on the 5 line right now.
Yeah, I think Indiana has a chance to be a top 4 seed. They've got some good wins this year. But, yeah. The Big Ten's a bit of a above average mess. Pac-12, they're projecting only 3 teams in the Pac-12, and USC got swept last weekend in Oregon. So right now it may just be 2 teams out of the Pac-12. You look at the Big Ten, you look at the SEC, there's bubblicious and above average everywhere. The Gators are surprisingly close to being in the tournament, considering their resume. They're within like 10 spots of the field.
But it doesn't appear, somebody you would think could go on a run, but none of these teams have been able to string together any wins to get themselves back into the tournament.
The one thing that I wonder then, since there's so much mediocrity / above averageness, could we see some wild conference tournaments? Because think about it, there's not much separating these teams. Who doesn't have a hot week?
It's going to take a hot week for some of these schools to get in.
Well, we think that every year, though, and goodness knows they never give the mid-majors and their conferences the respect that they should get. Like, there should be like 6 mid-majors that should be in right now, quite frankly. Oral Roberts, Drake, FAU. They should be in. But we all know they're not. And they got to keep playing.
And yet we're going to take some team that's going to end up going 6-10 in conference play and win 3 conference games, and that's going to be conference tournaments games, and that's going to be enough to get them in. Because Drake loses their first-round game in an upset, and that will be the end of them.
So happy Valentine's Day. Do not come home empty-handed. Although I have to admit, the whole Felipe Publix gift card idea, I don't know if I think we got to do a little better than that.
Empty-handed would be what I'd go with instead of the Publix gift card.
Wow.
Instead of the gift card, do you just come home with the sub or chicken tenders?
At least it'd be more personalized. Miller and Moulton, have a great rest of your day. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a